around the rest of the map. If you can burn that flash early, it does take away at least a bit of his potential. The real question now is just how aggressive do you want to play it? I know we keep reiterating it, but Lucid right now full clearing on the Trundle. I think that there is an opportunity for him to really step up and maybe start to pressure out some of these lanes. I think BFX is doing a great job of holding this wave down on the bottom side, really kind of negates Barrel's impact here on the Lulu, and you can already see that, gold neutral in the bot lane is going to be positive for DK for now, but with mid laners hitting level 6, we could be seeing action a lot sooner.
Well, I saw that Showmaker, I think, used 2 chains there, but the second chain hit a minion. Not an ideal scenario for the LeBlanc, although he still is able to chunk out Vikla a decent amount, but might have missed an opportunity to at least threaten for lethal in the next rotation of spells there. So we saw Lucid did take a base after the Gromp, comes back out, immediately buses over to the bottom side of the river. Might challenge Raptor here, but Raptor has Kellen in his back pocket.
He should be just fine here. Vikla finally hitting level 6. He's down a considerable amount of CS as we get to a potential fight here over the bottom crab. Would be crazy to go for this. Looks like DK just want to disengage this. Definitely the right call for DK. Showmaker going aggressive.
Oh, but he's able to distortion back to his original spot. Vikla now below 300 HP.
Raptor's here.
Still has about 320 on his side. Vikla will still survive, not having to burn the flash anytime soon. Kellen trying to get aggressive onto Barrel's Lulu right now.
This is huge for Showmaker. I mean, he has been really crushing this laning phase. I don't think this is easy for LeBlanc, but he certainly feels much more comfortable. Forcing that early back coming out from the Galio was huge because he could get that lane pressure. And now look at the item differential and the CS differential here with Showmaker versus Vikla. This matchup that's supposed to be Galio favored is very much not going that way. Dragon is up. Grubs are spawning in 45 seconds. Having that advantage in the mid lane is massive for DK here.
Yeah, even though that Galio does have a nice amount of resistances into this lane, you can tell that with the culling.
Aiming.
Takes out Aiming's full health bar. It was a force of the Summoner Heal spell from Barrel, and Aiming, no access to the barrier, means that he is forced to base. Barrel getting potentially dove. Diablo is looking to stop the base as Aiming forced to stop his own recall. At least throws out the W.
That's so aggressive from Diablo in terms of the step up. You have no clue where Lucid is. Now see him on the bottom side of the map, so this play is safe, but fights are happening.
Raptor, you gotta bail out Vikla. He flashes to the safety of the Wukong so that Raptor doesn't have to immediately pull the trigger on the Cyclone. But D plus Kia have an opportunity to try and push them out. Despite Aiming and Barrel being super low on HP, BFX cannot continue the Dragon. And that goes the way of the D plus Kia as Clear getting solo killed by Xiu. That is first blood for the Rumble in the top lane.
That is a nightmare for Clear. This is what you draft the Camille for, dying solo on the top side of the map. It's just not good. He's down so much CS. He's given a free kill over to the Rumble. That is a big, big win for a D plus Kia team that needs to get gold on these primary damage dealers in the later part of this game. Rumble being accelerated here could be a massive advantage for DK, and now with Grubs up, they can play for tempo on the top side.
Really huge for D plus Kia that they're able to find that first blood advantage for the Rumble, as that first item power spike is going to get accelerated just even more quickly. However, first grub does go the way of BFX, and Lucid is going to get spotted by Clear, so this should give all the confidence to BFX to just go for all 3 grubs. Not sure if that was a missed opportunity by D plus Kia off of the fact that they were able to get the solo kill onto Clear, but we're at this situation now where 3 grubs taken by BFX, and D plus Kia might just have to play for dragon stacking instead.
I think it certainly felt like a call of, okay, we don't have equalizers, so maybe we don't want to go for this fight. Even if we teleport Shiwu in, of course, Clear, would be able to answer, and he does have that ultimate available. So it wouldn't exactly be the easiest fight in the world. Much easier, especially now that I see that Shiwu did not have teleport at any point, that you just send him to the bot side, you take your free kill, you give up the grubs, and you start to play for those dragons, as you mentioned before. You're a team that feels comfortable going to these late game fights anyways, with things like Yunara and now Rumble being accelerated. I think DK are going to be just okay with this trade.
Sure thing. Well, Diablo gonna be swapping lanes with Vikla, who's gonna take his post back up in mid lane against Showmaker's LeBlanc. We'll see if Clear is going to get further punished by Xiu's Rumble in the side lane, where I believe Xiu, off of the next base that he finds, will be able to put purchase that full Leandry's Torment for himself, and that's going to be a big spike. If he can get that right around the same time that second dragon spawns, then I think as BFX, you just have to concede that objective.
100%. I think that you're already looking at a game state that feels very scary if you're BFX, because you lose that dragon and all of a sudden you don't really have pressure in the mid lane, and things just kind of start getting bad really quickly. I think this is the time that we need to see something happen from Raptor to step up and really make a play with that Wukong ult, perhaps with the Galio as well. Could be mid lane here. Clear's here.
You know what? Clear says, I'm not winning my lane, so I'm going to help win yours, Vikla, as he comes in with the Hextech ultimatum, and Showmaker, you can try and distortion all you want. You cannot escape that ultimate. Vikla getting the first kill of the game with BFX.
Love that for Clear. You need to open up the map. I was talking about the proactivity needing to come now, and I thought it was going to be from Raptor. It's from Clear on the Camille, especially getting that kill onto the Galio. I think is going to help things a lot. Him dropping in gold early was a big mistake and a big problem for the team. Now they're going to be in a much more manageable position with that extra kill.
Still about a couple minutes away from that second dragon of the game. It is the first item completed by Vikla's Galio, as Raptor does get spotted on the top side river. Barrel and aiming will be able to deflect any chance of a gank coming from the Wukong. Vikla taking up post on the bottom side of the map, as now Lucid comes to assist aiming and Barrel on their wave push so that they can get a chance to at least safely back off. Maybe a fight in the mid lane. Showmaker gets knocked up by the first cast of the Cyclone. Here comes the second cast. Showmaker's able to use the second cast of the Distortion to get away back to safety. As Lucid now flashing on top. Combo with the wild growth from Barrel. Nicely done. The coordination from D plus Kia so precise and clean as BFX lose out on their star jungler.
Raptor feels like he finds a good angle onto Showmaker, but there's nobody there to supplement any of the damage. He can do quite a bit as the Wukong himself, but certainly not enough to lock down that assassin, and eventually he's just got to run for the hills. A great flash from Lucid and a great ult from Barrel that ends up completely turning that. It's the aggression from BFX that we were looking for, but it's put in the wrong spot, and DK are happy to take advantage. 2 kills now onto the Rumble, who's already up a ridiculous 1.5k gold in this game. This could be a massive problem for BFX.
Just an overall really nice response from D plus Kia to the first real play of the game that Raptor has attempted to make with that Cyclone. And for BFX, they're not completely out of this game, but you're starting to feel the pressure now that D plus Kia are accelerating. They have a lot of first items online for these carries, which, as we emphasized before, K-Man, that is a position where D plus Kia are going to feel very confident in taking whatever objective they want to have.
Yeah, I don't think this game gets any easier for BFX as you continue to play this onward. I know, people talk about like Camille as a late game power spiker. I think this game gets hard for Camille if Rumble has a ton of gold, and if Yunara is able to get peeled. The Lulu makes this game very difficult, so that's why I'm so, focused and locked in on this team, actively trying to fight over some of these objectives. You can't just allow the game to get out of your hands here. They're making a play on Shiwu here, but do they have the damage?
Maybe. Flash from Kellen at least guaranteed the proc of his passive for the stun, but it just gets Shiu's flash out just so that the Rumble can survive. Or...
yeah, I thought Clear was going to get dove here. Certainly thought that was coming in. It should just be Dragon here started up for DK. I imagine they're going to be able to take full control of the bottom side here. So we see a fight on the top side.
Not quite from Vikla, as he's not able to close the distance there. Also, my mistake, Shiu did not even flash. I thought I saw a dash of some sort out of him, but nah, he just sped away with the empowered scrap shield movement speed boost, and unfortunate that Diablo and Kellen not able to really burn anything off of that Rumble, as the teleport is coming in, just to be able to assist on the bottom side of the map here with Raptor and crew. D plus Kia yet to start up the second dragon of the game.
Definitely feels weird to delay this. Obviously, you're a little bit scared of the way that this fight ends up going, but your setup is okay around the area. You know that Clear is going to be on the top side, would have to burn the teleport to get here. Just want to go for that reset and perhaps get back out on the map. For now, this opens up the door for BFX to regain control in the area, which is definitely something that I think they are going to be happy to have with all the vision coverage. See how much they even want to try and contest this rather than try and get priority on the waves elsewhere.
Yeah, at least for BFX's case, Diablo's culling is about to come back off cooldown, so he'll have another opportunity to try and at least force mid-prio, but it's not going to come up in time. D plus Kia pull the trigger on the dragon, and BFX cannot contest. They're going to turn their attention to the Rift Herald instead.
Yeah, I really like this call. I think it was actually a pretty big mistake of DK to kind of delay this until it's really easy for them to make this transition, but it is just going to be that Drake for Rift Herald trade. This is a free thing on the map that BFX is able to get despite their lack of pressure, and I think they're going to be happy to be able to pick it up. This should get some of that gold that they were looking for back into their pockets.
Yeah, at least for D plus Kia, they might be able to pick up first brick of the game, as we saw Aiming pop the ultimate, go Transcendent, and force Vikla off the safety of that tier 1 tower on the bottom side of the map. Aiming should be able to pick it up by himself. The rest of BFX starting to group up on the top side of the map. Not sure if there is a play that they can force onto Shiu's Rumble. He still has the flash available despite Hextech Ultimatum being available to clear.
It's really tough to lock down the Rumble without fearing for your own life in these exchanges now.
Yeah.
Showmaker level 11 as well, so that LeBlanc damage is going to start hitting through pretty quick here. He's obviously not had the most success on it throughout this tournament, but if there is a signature Showmaker champion, it might just be that LeBlanc, so you can never really count him out of a game like this. Dragon spawning, obviously in under 4 minutes here, but the real question is how much priority are we going to see this game on the Otacon? We've seen plenty of games where it's the most important thing in the world, and some where people don't care too much about it. I think both of these comps are kind of set up to potentially go for a big fight around that time.
Oh boy.
Showmaker?
Well, Showmaker has successfully dodged 2 Justice Punches. However, he is now behind enemy lines. Raptor going to close off his escape route, and Showmaker just might have to... Does he have teleport? Nope, he's just going to go for and execute under the tower.
He gets it.
And at least for him, yeah, he executes it.
Yeah, honestly, best case scenario for DK is they end up taking that top tier 1. And, you know, for Diablo here, he's going to have a hard time fully defending this. Aiming is just everywhere on the map right now, gathering gold in basically any situation. Lucid immediately makes his way down here. This is a second turret falling for DK, and all of a sudden Aiming, who really hasn't been involved in a lot of the action on the map here today, is up 500 gold onto Diablo. The Herald is going to be dropped onto the bottom side, and it will collect at least a little bit here, but overall, a huge map swing for DK.
Yeah, it looks like Kellen threw down the ultimate, which did force Aiming to pop his own ultimate, just so that he could sidestep it with the dash, but it's an ulti for ulti trade, and now, actually, that might be my mistake.
Oh, here we go. Lucid.
Meanwhile, we're going to collapse onto the top side of the map. Vikla comes in with the hero's entrance, massive knockup, but it's the wild growth onto Lucid that provides a knockup of their own. Aiming trying to go crazy into the backline. He gets stunned up by the concussive blows,
Raptor.
but it might not be enough. But Vikla and Raptor commit into the backline, punish Aiming for the overextension, and now Showmaker is on the run. Lucid trying to regroup with Shiu. Here comes the equalizer, but Raptor just dashes forward. That's the only way out of this fight. If they can find anything, it's through clear on the top side. Raptor does get dropped, but it's a trade onto Lucid's Trundle, and now Shiu might be in trouble, but he's still holding his flash. He's trying to reposition with Showmaker and look for an angle back onto Diablo. Woohoo! The electrocute proc from the chains sends Diablo to the gray screen, and Vikla's gonna be the next target. It's a double kill for Showmaker's LeBlanc.
Lot of questions about Showmaker picking LeBlanc in this draft. I think he is showcasing maybe why we should have been a little bit more lenient on the draft pick, as he completely cleans up a fight that looked disastrous for D plus Kia. A major mistake made by Aiming at the start of that fight gets caught in a chain of CC, but we get to see how this starts. Lucid gets chunked very quickly with the way that this fight goes down, but look at the healing and the shielding coming in from the Lulu, from everything coming down there. At this point, though, unfortunately, Aiming in melee range with Vikla just takes the Justice Punch, gets CC chained down by Raptor, and once you lose this Yunara, all of a sudden this fight actually becomes very unwinnable for DK, and all that lead that you had been able to generate, it's just not looking all that good. Shiwu can try his best to burn down Raptor, but at the very best, it's going to trade 1-for-1, but luckily, it's enough damage to open the door for Showmaker to get back in range here. Diablo just unfortunately gets hit by the chain at the perfect length there, not respecting the damage coming out from LeBlanc, just making a pretty big positioning mistake, and Vikla would fall as well to the damage with the Rumble. Overall, I mean, it's a huge fight for DK, a huge cleanup. If that had gone south, things would have gotten scary fast.
Yeah, just a nice response from D plus Kia to be able to adapt on the fly and realize, hey, we can't play front to back because our AD carry just died. So now we have to kind of take the fight a little bit slow and play off of our short burst cooldowns, which Showmaker and Shiu able to coordinate super well and making sure that it wasn't a total wipe from BFX. Now, Shiu, however, still has flash available, but he's locked in the Hextech Ultimatum. Do they have enough damage to knock him out? Cyclone, oh, he flashed into the wall. Oh, Shiu. Tragedy in the topside river.
Oh, it's the one thing that you can't really allow to happen. A big gold injection going over to Camille of all champions. That is not what you want to do if you're DK in this scenario. And wouldn't you know it, it's right as Dragon spawns. DK are going to try and at least contest this, but they're down a man.
Oh, Showmaker is going to be able to distortion over the wall, so he's safe behind the wall. He goes back in. He's half HP. BFX trying to burn down this dragon as safely as possible. Lucid ready to threaten for the steal. Goes in and he yoinks it away. Thanks for the leash. CYAT in the signs for D plus Kia. Now, can they look for a re-engage? The target is Diablo. Gets the knockup down. This Lucian is under fire, but he's able to kite out, and he's got the safety of his teammates backing him up as Diablo is now safe. As he dashes over the wall, he wants to pop Showmaker once he goes out of the stasis. Trying to knock down the Magi Soul Stealer stacks. It's Kellen that picks up the shutdown bounty. Not ideal, but you know what? A kill's a kill at the end of the day.
Gold is gold right now on the map for what BFX can get, but the steal is huge. That soul point for D plus Key. It's not over.
Shiyu's revenge. He wants blood, and he's looking for BFX members. Lucid almost getting popped by Raptor. The redemption comes in. He gets bonked over the head. At least Shiyu is able to trade one back onto the Monkey King. And BFX and D plus Kia definitely scrapping a lot in our first game of this upper semifinal, I should say.
I was getting a little bit worried. We had seen so much action at ASI, and this game started like a regular LCK one. Now we finally start to get the real gameplay that we came to this tournament for with the back and forth team fights. DK end up slightly out on top in terms of gold, but you know, Clear gonna have to jump his way out of here. I think the most important thing to note is, again, that they were able to get that soul point, that in 3 minutes and 40 seconds, we are going to be fighting over Dragon Soul in this game. Otacon has spawned. It's on the top side of the map. We see the pings coming down. BFX is set up well for this.
D plus Kia are going to have to book their butts over to the top side so that they can at least try and contest some vision over on that top side river. Aiming will look to push out mid-wave as fast as possible before Diablo gets a chance to step up. Looking at the item spike advantages, Clear is quite behind Shiyu as he's got 2 items plus the tier 3 boots on this Rumble. And Clear is still working towards his second item in the game, so this is going to be a difficult lane setup despite the kills and assists he's been able to pick up this game.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to note is actually look at the level differential throughout a lot of these lanes here, specifically Diablo over Aiming. He's 2 full levels up on Aiming here on the Lucian. This is a massive difference for BFX that they could be able to fight over. That's what makes this Otacon so important, is BFX could be in a spot with already 10 more petals than DK to really take control of a lot of that XP and neutralize the gold.
Glacial Fissure onto Lucid, but there's no real follow-ups from BFX, so that's a free Braum ultimate popped for really anything burn. Culling comes out, that gets nothing. K-Man, I was told Diablo was going to put on a show tonight, and I feel lied to.
I feel lied to by Diablo with the performance that I'm seeing so far. We still have plenty of time for him to take over some of these fights. He's had more than his fair share of 1v9 late game performances, but he's going to kind of need it here on the Lucian as DK going to Otacon and starting it up.
Can BFX get in? Still only about a third of HP off of the Otacon. Raptors making the long route ahead. They spot him out. They should just be able to burn this down quickly.
Zoned.
Kellen doesn't have smite on the sell book either. Showmaker able to force Raptor out of the pit, but it's Clear going into the back line. Shiyu is able to secure the Otacon for themselves, but Vicla's going hard alongside them. Raptor into the back line with the Cyclone. Showmaker trying to deter them off of the fight, but Diablo is able to find his first kill of the game onto Lucid. He gets a double, he gets a triple! And just like that, Diablo heard that we were talking mad crap about him, and he said, let me put on the carry pants right now.
Ask and you shall receive from the superstar AD carry of BNK Fear X. It's a very well-played fight coming in from basically the entire team. Raptor very late to that play, but a great Cyclone coming in from him in the fight. And Vikla, I think, as well, deserves a ton of credit for the way he ended up playing that on the Galio. But once again, it's the positioning mistakes that just come back to bite D plus Kia. We're going to get the chance to lock in on essentially what happened here. Clear with the initial engage just flashes immediately on top of Aiming. That burns the Lulu ultimate. it. You don't have that for the Trundle anymore. All of a sudden, your front line gets a lot weaker, and aiming's at half health before this fight even really starts. Raptor is able to get in with the full engage here. The Cyclone is great to separate Showmaker, and while aiming's able to jump out, Vikla lands a two-man taunt, which completely destroys the rest of the fight. Diablo's damage is so perfect, and this is what we were talking about. You can't give BNK, Fear X, and Inch because they will take a mile.
BFX, once they were able to form that death ball and they all grouped up as 5, they were able to just burst through the door that D plus Kia had been able to hold on to for so long. At least for D plus Kia's sake, they still have a soul point to play for. They were able to secure the Otacon, so levels are not out of proportion there on their side. Trying to push BFX out of the river, Showmaker trying to ward off clear and hold this choke point from this Camille, as Shiu can't get in through the right side quadrant as Vikla is ready to take post and make sure that this Rumble doesn't get a free entrance.
Yeah, this is definitely a huge fight for BFX. If they can pick this up, they can win the game.
Clear's trying to hide from vision. Showmaker gets a peek into the pit and sees that the Camille was ready to spring a trap. Vikla still on the right side trying to prevent Shiu from getting anything done, but he can still throw down an equalizer from this range. Vikla, I guess he's waiting for the hero's entrance right on top of Clear. There he goes, on to aiming, and Diablo sends it into the back line, ensuring that aiming is the first one to fall. Yeah, Shiu picks up Kellen, but you've lost out on your AD carry, but Diablo gets popped by Showmaker's LeBlanc, and now
dead.
It's all fights for the dragon, but Raptor's gone. There's no spite for BFX, and that's Chemtech Soul secured by Lucid. And just like that, it doesn't matter if you lose aiming, you still got Shiu and Showmaker to be able to pick up the pieces and clean up the fight. That's the ace for D plus Kia at 26 minutes.
They sell their entire soul for aiming once again, and this time, DK make them suffer for it. This was a fantastic turn from D plus Kia. Shiwu is massive right now on this Rumble. He is absolutely destroying this game, and it's not just the soul that they're going to be able to get from this. They're taking the Baron as well, but we're going to get a replay of exactly how this fight broke down. This looks so good at the start from BFX. The setup is great. Kellen doing an awesome job of zoning Lucid. He has to take so much damage here. He pops ult. You get the Lulu ultimate out of it as well, and once Clear dives in and they're able to take down the AD carry, again, you feel like the fight is over because there's no ADC, but look who is left alone at the top of this disengage. It's Diablo, and Showmaker sees it. A perfect engage, a flash breakdown of that Lucian, and in the pit here, all of a sudden our jungler's alone with no damage, and he goes down. You're losing the back end of this fight because the LeBlanc is now untouched. You lose soul, you lose the fight. It's the coordination that comes back to really bite BFX, and DK capitalized to likely put themselves in the biggest game-winning position they've had.
And that's the powerful of a well-timed assassination. It just throws the coordination into complete disarray for BFX. D plus Kia able to capitalize on that one small mishap in for BFX and being able to identify where the threats were after being able to assassinate aiming. D plus Kia now with Chemtech Soul on their side. Baron not going to spawn for another couple of minutes as they still have it locked in for themselves. Trying to see how much they can get on the map here as Clear trying to get some gold into his pockets, threaten the top tier 2 turret, pushing alone, but Shiu is going to give D plus Kia an angle for them to start breaking open the base through the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, they're trying to trade back gold, but this could be a game-ending kind of push from DK. They have plenty of ways to make this happen. Showmaker is so slippery in the mid lane. You basically have to give up your entire base, or you have to choose to fight right now. It's a really, really difficult place for BFX to be in. Clear is trying to back, but it's going to be way too late. This inhibitor is going to be gone.
DP from Clear. Oh, he's going for the deep flank. And I think Showmaker knows he's also TPing so that they can group up as 5 members and just try to burst their way through before Clear even gets there. And he can't even get there. He knows that the fight is already losing, so he's now forced to recall. It's a wasted teleport, and he's not going to even get there in time to stop the inhibitor from falling. D plus Kia are going to try to push for the end.
At the very least, they weren't dropping like flies in that fight. Vikla's TPing!
Oh, TPing into the Nexus Tower for what, my guy? D plus Kia now, they've already eliminated Raptor to 5-on-4. Diablo's forced to pop the Mikhails early to the credit of Kellen, just making sure that he doesn't get stunned up. But the Nexus turret is going to fall, and now it's just an open base for D plus Kia to just smurf all over BFX and destroy one member after another. It didn't even look close in that final breach. D plus Kia take the first game of the series.
Okay, a lot to digest. A lot happened in the last 5 minutes. The game went from it's kind of playable to it's over. There was nothing to do. A
Yeah.
closeout here from D plus Kia, and it all really came back to really just the fantastic capitalization that DK ends up making around that dragon. Showmaker, we questioned the LeBlanc pick. Boy, did it pay off by the end of that game.
Holy moly, K-Man. It just went from, yeah, you know what? Hang on. This is the perfect summarization of D plus Kia, that game against BFX. Oh, dude, it's so good. It's so good. And then out of nowhere, oh no, it's Jover. We're so back. We're so back. They just see that small blip right there? That's where, even though they secured the Otacon, they lost the fight big time. And then we thought, okay, BFX finally got their composition identity locked in and synced up with everyone. Everyone understands, just group up as 5, assassinate aiming, and then profit. But then Showmaker said, yeah, but what if I assassinated your AD carry? What about that?
That's the thing, is it's those missed positions that have cost a lot of teams at this tournament. You can't be making small mistakes, and whether you want to blame that on Diablo for, not being connected with the rest of his team, or you want to blame his team for basically just leaving him at the end of that fight and just kind of walking to the dragon, it's kind of up to you. But Showmaker saw an opportunity and he took it, but we got to give a ton of credit to Shiwu on the top side. What a game one from him on the Rumble. This Camille, as a reminder, was counterpicked. Like, this was the answer that they chose to put into this Rumble, and it did the exact opposite. This Rumble was so fed, and it was so ahead, and it was really hard to play out these fights with so much damage coming in so consistently.
So let's clear something up, K-Man, because one of the things I heard about Shiu coming into this tournament is that when it comes to team fights, Shiu is amazing, but the one weakness he has is his laning phase can sometimes be exposed. This guy just took a dump on clear and he got a solo bolo on him.
Yeah, I mean, the scouting report is correct. Now, the scouting report on clear is that sometimes he can just have one of those games every once in a while. He can pick himself a Camille and just kind of do his own thing. We have definitely seen this once or twice before from BFX, but overall, this was a great game from a player that I think has kind of been undervalued for most of this year. This is another example, by the way, on the replay of Diablo just stepping up a little bit too far forward. I think he either presumed his E would be off cooldown, or maybe that he just was out of range and just instantly dies to the LeBlanc, completely turning that fight back around. There were moments for BFX to be able to get themselves back in the game, and it's not like the Camille was entirely useless, but at the end of the day, the two biggest champions in this game were the Rumble and the LeBlanc, and that's what ended up turning things.
This was the one fight where everything looked like BFX's chances were back on and high. And when they were able to dive deep into the backline and eliminate aiming from the fight, you think, okay, BFX, they've got it in the bag. But then everyone is split up. Everyone's trying to regroup back to the dragon, and Showmaker identifies the one just falter in the breakdown in communication where they think, okay, yeah, everyone just go to the dragon, and then suddenly, oh, I'm dead. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And then everything just falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, it can snowball so fast when things stop going right for a lot of the, these teams. And I think, unfortunately for BFX, they just had no damage control. The moment that things started to go wrong, they just kind of piled in like stormtroopers for a lot of these fights and just died over and over again. And it's not how you want to play a lot of these end games. I think that there were clinical ways to play it, and I think that there were emotional ways to play it. Unfortunately, for FearX, it really did feel like a lot of the lack of experience on this team from some of these players caught up to them, and DK didn't have that same problem. They were cool, calm, and collected in the big moments.
Looking forward for the rest of the series, we know that D plus Kia, on paper, coming into this tournament, were favored to win the entire thing. They were definitely the strongest team that would be the expected champions of the Asia Invitational. So far, it's a good look coming into our upper semifinal. BFX, still another team that is at least another favorite to try and contest them. Trying to think about what composition identities you want to focus in on for this squad going into the second game. The Showmaker does pick up the LeBlanc, or the MVP from his LeBlanc performance.
I think this is more than earned. She was going to have a lot of supporters out there, and he played a phenomenal game, but when I think of every major play in this game, it was the LeBlanc, so definitely want to give a lot of credit there. As for, BFX, what they want to do going into game number 2, I think they had a pretty clear game plan in game number 1. They just didn't really execute on it. When it came down to it, they made a couple of mistakes, and they didn't play around their superstar AD carry enough. He was left alone, I think, one too many times in these fights when they really had a clear avenue to be able to pick up the victory. I think if you can get Diablo more comfortable, that's the success path.
Well, we'll see if BFX can leverage Diablo to better heights going into game 2, or if it will just be a sweep from D plus Kia. Stay tuned, y'all. We're going to be right back after this break. Welcome back, y'all. We're getting ready for game numero dos between BNK FearX and D plus Kia, where, for the most part, it was a fairly dominant showing from D plus Kia. There was one moment in the Otacon fight where it looked like BFX were rallying the troops and getting their momentum back into a comeback position. Then Showmaker said, I heard you like Diablo. What if I killed him? Boom. And then everything fell apart for BFX around the dragon, and it was just enough for D plus Kia to get both their Chemtech Soul and Baron, and even the base defense was a little bizarre from Clear and BFX's decision making. So hopefully we got a little bit more competitive showing from the Fox squad going into game 2.
Yeah, you had Clear teleporting 8,000 yards away. You had Vikla teleporting to a Nexus tower from inside his base. Just very, very interesting decisions made by BFX, but you're right. Like, that was a winnable game for BFX.
Yeah.
They absolutely had a chance to win that as long as they didn't make the smallest of mistakes, like leave your AD carry completely alone after you catch out the enemy ADC, or, you know, potentially actually turn your Otacon winning fight into more pressure on the map because you had like a 30 petal advantage throughout that game. You know, there were a lot of things that I think went in their favor that they didn't take care of, but that means that there's room for improvement for BFX going into this game number 2. They're not going to be able to get this dive comp again. You just don't really have the options available, but there are certainly plenty of comfort picks for FearX that are still left up on the board.
Very true, and I like where your head's at. You know, BFX start at the bottom here. That means the only way up, the only direction left to them is up from here. So sometimes you gotta start out on a low so that you can naturally go to a high in the next game. Now, BFX, as you mentioned, probably not going to get their hands on another dive composition. Maybe they'll play something a little more traditional front to back and give something to Diablo, not just in terms of an AD carry pick that is easier to play around, but also a foundation that is easier for him to thrive in.
Yeah, I think the problem was that the Lucian was just too specific in the way that it wanted to play out that specific game and that specific team comp. I think you're in a position now where you can feel a bit more flexible. You're back on blue side, which is obviously really good. You want to be able to get that priority early, but the question is, how much pressure do you want to put on to Lucid early on in this draft phase? I mean, you're banning out things like the Jarvan, and the Orianna is already off the board. You know, things like Wukong unavailable going into game number 2, Trundle unavailable going into game number 2. It could be very easy to really start, you know, pecking away at a lot of Lucid's most picked champions. Really, it's just the Vi and the Xin Zhao, and then you're getting a Zed, Lee Sin as potential options for Lucid. So definitely going to be intrigued to see how much they want to kind of take away his priority.
Are D plus Kia gonna triple ban Vikla again, bro? No way, right?
It's the game plan. Get him out of the comfort zone.
Time's ticking. 5, 4. Okay. Paying respect to Diablo, recognizing, hey, you know what? Diablo is their star player, and it didn't look like he got that much freedom to really play his game, so let's just deny some of those tools. But because the Trundle was already used in the first game, that opens up the board for a free Scion insta-lock for Clear.
Clear said, I'm done with these counter picks. I'm done playing Camille.
Just
B1 me Scion. Let me
Scion.
let me play in peace on the top side of the map. I'm not dealing with this anymore. You know, I can't really blame him after how that game number 1 went. You know, the Camille not working out so much. Some of the dives did work, but you know, we'll see what DK want to answer with. I think jungle mid makes a lot of sense for them to prioritize here. Xin Zhao is going to be the lock-in. We talked about some of the priority picks left. Xin Zhao and Vi are really the two that I thought Lucid kind of had to go for here. You know, really kind of show his cards which one he ends up preferring. Really, the main thing for me is Xin Zhao Talia. I think that being left up on the board is kind of the bread and butter here for DK and the way that they like to play the map. But plenty of things go along with this. Ryze still available. Showmaker, a very prolific Ryze player if he wants to go to that in that same vein.
Ryze is available since they swapped that ban for Kaisa in the second game. I like where your head's at, man. D plus Kia really taking their time with that champion select timer. Jax is the insta lock-in. Just recognizing that, hey, if they wanted to go for a Jax of their own, that would make our Xin Zhao very sad. Lee Sin locked in for Raptor. Insta lock for the Ryze on Vikla's hands. This is a great way to set up Raptor for success, as you've got solid CC on the top side and a point-and-click lockdown from Vikla.
Yeah, I think if you are going to leave up the Ryze if you're DK, it's definitely going to get taken here on the other side. We've seen Lee Sin priority Ryze a ton over the course of this tournament. I think people are just happy that they have a chance to play Lee Sin again in a tournament that, you know, maybe they're a little bit more comfortable playing Lee Sin in than the LCK or the LPL were. So I think people are excited, but oh, you called it, Rafa. We are getting it locked in. It's the Malzahar.
Malzahar time! Oh my goodness. Showmaker sees Raptor trying to go for a very, very mobile champion in that Lee Sin and says, sit down, little bro. I'm just gonna nether grasp you back to the fountain.
Oh, I'm so excited. Showmaker's already played one Malzahar game at this tournament. It went really well, if you don't remember that, on day number 1. He completely gapped JDG on it. I try to forget that game as much as possible, but definitely good for the DK fans out there to kind of see this. And the point-and-click lockdown this game is actually really effective. I mean, taking a Ryze out of a fight or shutting down a Lee Sin engage can be really difficult to deal with, and pairing that up with a Xin Zhao or a Jax diving in a late-game teamfight on top of somebody, you can really just pick one person to completely eliminate. This makes it so much harder to play for Diablo, which is exactly what we were looking for.
And the problem for BFX too is if you think about some of the flashy insect plays that Lee Sin mains love to go for, you no longer want to go solo into a backline and try and pull that off, because it is just super easy for Showmaker to just be like, Lee Sin, okay, hover, R, boom, and, okay, nice. Nice, man. Yeah, good attempt in trying to do something. So now, this is going to make Raptor's identity in this composition a little bit more difficult to pilot, at least when he's trying to go for those insect plays. I don't think those are really an option for them when it's straight up 5-on-5. You have to really wait for the Malzahar to get isolated or taken out of the fight early on, or wait for that ultimate to be used. And more than likely, he's just going to be on disengage duty depending on what they pick up for Diablo.
That's the thing with Malz, is he can be really aggressive in the early and in the mid game because it's really hard to punish a Malzahar as long as you're positioning correctly. And then in the late game, I mean, he's just always a threat. That ult is always off of cooldown, and you're always going to be able to, you know, at least be that, you know, hey, you maybe don't want to go for that play that would improve your position. Maybe you have to play a little bit slower, and you're pairing that with even more lockdown to pair off of the Malzahar ultimate with the Nautilus here. And we're getting the full gauntlet thrown with the Kalista Renata as the answer.
I mean, listen, I'm all for giving Diablo tools that allows him to just skirt around the team fight, but if he's... We talked about how mobility is being hard countered by D plus Kia with two of their picks in Malzahar and Nautilus. You can send a def charge, and it's like, okay, no matter what you do, you're going to get knocked up. And with Showmaker, no matter what you do, you are going to get suppressed. And the Ziggs final lock-in, D plus Kia feel confident that, hey, we've got enough physical damage between Lucid and Xiu's Jax. Let's double up on the magic damage, and the fact that you have guaranteed lockdown on pretty much every single champion here, some kind of CC that can set up a Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb over the top. I'm really favoring D plus Kia's chances here. I think the only way that BFX take this win, K-Man, you just gotta blitz them early and pray that you are hard gapping them in the wallet diff.
Completely agree. I think you just have to get so much gold in this game that it's impossible for you to screw up these team fights. As a bit of a reminder for everybody, on day 1 of this tournament, Showmaker pulled out the Malzahar in Game 2 against JD Gaming, who were 3 champions on the other side of that matchup for JDG, Ryze, Kalista, and Renata. And guess what? None of them got to play the game. None of them got to operate. They had a Jax as well for Xiu to be able to follow up on a lot of those engages. The lockdown is just absurd. Coming in. The only thing I will say in favor of BNK Fearx is they do have early game tempo. Playing with Realm Warp plus Lee Sin plus Kalista Renata is actually really difficult to answer really at any point on the map if you are the one pushing forward. And for DK, you do have great single target lockdown, but in order to get a big team fight going, you need to make sure you can get a priority target lockdown. If BNK can play these fights a little bit slower, perhaps they can open up a few more doors.
Maybe, and if they are able to find that early snowball with a lot of these strong lane setups, as you mentioned, on the bottom side of the map, that will be the key for success in the second game for BFX. D plus Kia, if they are able to use Lucid Xin Zhao to be that early deterrent and just a bridge to get into that later stages of the game, they're in a great spot. It's time to hit Summoner's Rift for Game 2 and see whether BFX can bounce back or if it's a sweep for D plus Kia.
And they do need to bounce back. I mean, they definitely had a pretty demoralizing loss in game number one. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it absolutely just was one of those games that felt very playable until one catch, one mistake ends up really costing everything. This is their chance to kind of prove that, hey, we've proven we can hang with DK. We've even beaten them to get into the playoffs earlier this year. What can we do about it? But we actually see a replay. Lucid already burning his flash.
Okay, well, that's a nice way to start off if you are BFX. Not only Lucid is your one champion that can help be an early deterrent and make sure that BFX don't snowball out of control, but now he's down a flash, so any plays that he wants to go for or try and counter gank for, he's going to have one less tool available, ensuring that D plus Kia are protected.
Very, very nice to be able to pick that up, especially if you're Raptor. As a Lee Sin player, all of a sudden you're feeling comfortable going for those more aggressive plays, going, well, no more Zinjal Flash to have to worry about in any of these exchanges. So definitely opens up the map and opens up the aggression. It does seem like it's going to be same side clears, definitely different than game number one with how that breaks down. I don't expect a ton of action early, especially now that Lucid is probably going to be a little bit more defensive.
I think it's the right call for Lucid. He needs to make sure that he is protecting aiming and barrel in the early levels before aiming gets access to that lost chapter, so that he can easily wave clear and prevent any sort of lane domination from the double range setup of Diablo and Kellen's Kalista Renata. We're getting a lot of trading between both of these top laners here. Not sure if it's going to result in anything meaningful or an early solo bolo from either two, as we get a view back onto the bottom side, see how the health bars are treating aiming and barrel.
Yeah, unfortunately, aiming and barrel are going to have to survive this bottom side here. The Kalista Renata are going to do one thing in this draft guaranteed. It's make this Ziggs have a bit of a hard time. But the problem is that it's Ziggs. He's always going to be able to shove the wave and not worry too much. It's going to be pretty quick into the game that you're going to have to cede a lot of that pressure and just kind of give it over to the side of aiming, and he can start playing a little bit more isolated. Opens up the map for barrel to even be more aggressive, and hopefully they're going to be able to take advantage of that. For now, we just get a little bit of a sight of the two top laners going toe-to-toe. Definitely not anything going to happen up here unless a major mistake is made. Caster Curse? Nah, no Caster Curse.
I always forget that Counter-Strike on Jax now does max percentage HP damage. I was not expecting that burst to go down on a tanky member like Sion, but she able to at least tango with this tank and trade evenly, being able to get grass stacks traded as well. Raptor is able to contest the bottom crab, knowing that Lucid would not dare show his face when he has bottom priority from Kalista and Renata. Vikla doing his best to shove Showmaker away, and Raptor might be able to contest Lucid, but he actually doesn't have a smite, but I don't think he's going to get there in time, and he can always run to the safety of Shu's Jax.
Yeah, this is pretty average start, all things considered. Credit, of course, to BFX for being able to generate their big lead in the bot lane, but it's expected. There's nothing here that's out of the ordinary just yet. The real question is, when do those out of expectation plays come in?
Okay, Clear is able to flash backwards, and Lucid does not lose anything in return as Raptor goes in, but the Shiu's there with the Counter-Strike, is still able to stun him up as he tries to safeguard back to safety. The flash from Shiu dodges the decimating smash, and Lucid can go back in one more time, gets first blood for D plus Kia, and Showmaker cannot bail out his jungler as Clear is at least able to kill him in his passive.
It is a 1-for-1, but Lucid is able to pick up the first blood, which is certainly important in neutralizing this jungle matchup and the aggressiveness that was going down from Raptor. Just a greedy play from BFX. Really no reason to trade that there, but they do want to go for it, and I think DK are going to feel pretty okay with that, especially considering just how far behind this Ziggs is. Getting gold anywhere on the map right now probably feels like a win.
I'm imagining that BFX are going to try and hard play for this dragon, since Diablo and Kellen are already in a good spot, consistently pushing aiming and barrel under the tower. Aiming has yet to find a timer where he can base and look for that first spike in that lost chapter so that he can continuously keep up his mana and be able to collect farms safely even under the tower. BFX need to be able to leverage this advantage from their double range bot lane if they want to find any success in this series.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely have to utilize this this duo to get pressure quickly. They've done a good job of getting that gold lead on them. They've lost quite a bit of it now that Ziggs has just gotten a chance to free kind of push out this wave, and this is the problem with Ziggs, is it's so easy for him to be able to rebound. At this point in the game, he's basically, shoving waves for free, and that's only going to get worse for BFX. In fact, you're already looking at a gold lead for this Ziggs now down on the bottom side. So the question is, where can BFX utilize this tempo and pressure that they've generated? Looks like the answer right now will be the Dragon. See if there's going to be any answer from Lucid. Looks like he just wants to give it over.
Yep. Not quite at 5 minutes, but it's still early enough for BFX that they'll be able to secure this Dragon and have plenty of time if they want to shift over their laners to the top side of the map so that they can get grubs as well. Raptor secures the Dragon there as D plus Kia tries to fish for Diablo with the dredge line, but Barrel might be in a bad spot now. Aiming.
Raptor
takes a Sonic Wave to the face. Here comes the Realm Ward, but it's suppressed by the Nether Grasp of Showmaker, but Lucid still in trouble, forced to flash over the wall. At least D plus Kia are able to get out and bail and not drop any more deaths.
Yeah, it's somehow a good 0-for-0 trade for DK, despite the fact that they're losing the Dragon, because that could have been so much worse for them. It's a huge ult from Showmaker. I think if Ryze had gotten in there, things get very bad very quickly. Lucid already having to burn Flash once again. He will not have that available for basically any part of this game. It is on cooldown with that Summoner, but overall, BFX coming out a little bit on top there with the Dragon take and being able to start stacking those for the late game.
Credit for BFX trying to at least use the power of these early advantage pieces here in the Lee Sin, the Kalista, and the Renata to fight over those objectives. And even though they took the Dragon, they still were feeling bold enough and confident that they could take a fight against D plus Kia this early on. We got Grub spawning in the next 40 seconds. Doesn't look like Diablo and Kellen are going to be shifting over to the top side anytime soon. So Raptor, if he wants to contest for those, just has to rely on the priority and pressure from Vikla and Clear instead.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting setup, I think, all things considered, for these Grubs, because it's really going to matter a lot where they put their resources and how aggressively these teams end up going for this. If they want to send a lot of pressure to the top side, at least not just the top side, but the top lane in particular, that's going to indicate to me that they feel a little bit more comfortable playing it slow. She will, at the very least, going to get that Demolish proc off. Raptor will be here to clean up the wave, but this is a big Grub take for BFX and for DK. If they're able to get this for free, that is a very, very big win for a D plus Kia team.
I mean, Diablo and Kellen are just now rotating over to the top side of the map. It feels a little late. D plus Kia should be able to at least secure 2 Grubs before Raptor is able to come in and contest for the third. Kick
Raptor!
Flash onto Lucid, but he dashes back. Vikla comes in for reinforcements, and Kellen and Diablo arrive just in the nick of time. D plus Kia lose out on Lucid and Shiu, and it's BFX being able to pick up the feat of strength.
There were a couple things that were really shocking about that. BFX being so late to the play coming out of base was very surprising. Even more surprising was Aiming and Barrel both being by themselves on the bottom side, and DK still feeling confident enough to full engage here. I guess not full engage, to full take 2 of those Grubs. They're going to have to trade their life for it, but that is not a worthwhile trade. This is just so aggressive from Lucid and Shiwu. Yes, they're able to get 2 of these, but again, Raptor understands, hey, your bot lane is showing and there's no way for Showmaker to get in over Vikla, who has shove in the mid lane right now. We're just going to be able to win this 4v2 that you're giving us, and we're going to get the final Grub. It's just a mistake from DK that they did not need to make.
Yeah, just beautiful setup by Raptor, not only finding Lucid, but also kicking him through Shiu. Woo. Chef's kiss. Also misspoke. Feat of Warfare, not Feat of Strength. Feat of Strength has yet to be secured, as BFX still need to be able to find either first brick or first 3 objectives on the board. As D plus Kia, because they got 2 of those Grubs, they were able to get that objective point for themselves. So it's still 1 apiece for both squads, as we are about 1 minute and 30 away from the second Dragon spawning.
We'll see how much attention goes down there. Clearly, Aiming and Barrel feel comfortable to continue pushing out this wave into the Scion. Again, Ziggs is just going to basically get tower aggro for free. Wherever he wants it, he's going to get some pressure on the map wherever he wants it. And I think bot lane is definitely the place to go right now. We already see Barrel trying to set up at least a little bit, but Raptor pathing to the top side. Shiwu could be in trouble here.
Shiu flashes away, but the Sonic Wave still lands into the kick as Raptor finally waits to go in on that resonating strike, maximizing the damage so that he could get the execute as high as possible. D plus Kia drop their top laner, and it's 4 kills on the board for BFX.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some damage go back down on Clear, but Clear wants this TPing in.
Doesn't necessarily land the knock-up onto Aiming, but he's pinned him into the wall, and Aiming is just going to go for the TP. He knows that there's no more CC off of Clear Scion, and then now Beryl is the target, but at least D plus Kia's bot lane is able to evade danger even off of Vicla's TP.
Yeah, great call from Aiming to TP out of there once he saw all the CC come down from the Scion, understood that, hey, you've got nothing left, so let's go ahead and not worry about this. I'm not going to try to have any shenanigans. Let's just get out of there. But once again, it's a lot of resources burned. Vikla using teleport is important, but he has the Realm Warp that he can continue to utilize, and Aiming now has no way to be able to affect the map in the same kind of way that he could before with that teleport available. It's going to be Showmaker who's going to be pushing out the top side here, but Dragon is spawning now. This setup is happening at the moment. Both Raptor and Lucid in the area.
And while BFX have found a few solid plays in the early game, I'm yet to call it confidently a good enough of a snowball to push this game forward, as D plus Kia still have a couple of avenues and they are still farming relatively well on a majority of their carries here. The only massive gold lead is in the mid lane, and that is just because Vikla has been involved in a lot of the plays around the map so far. Speaking of which, Vikla looking for the Realm Warp, and Beryl is going to be the target, but he breaks it with the Cleanse, still has a flash if he needs it. Even though he takes a lot of damage on the escape, does not burn the Summoner spell. He's out of there.
Yeah, I mean, Beryl survives. Ult was already down, and it's going to be up off cooldown very shortly if DK can try and stall this out for at least a little bit more. They're going to have the shove in the mid lane for now, but DK have such good wave control. It's going to be really difficult for BFX to do what they want to do here, which is get tempo.
Make an Inferno Bomb right on top. It's only on to Kellen, though, and Clear still a nice tank. Here's the hostile takeover that splits up the fight. Beryl finally forced the flash away. BFX taking a lot of damage on the exit.
Oh,
Flash! Nethercraft on the suppression. Diablo is the first one to fall, but he gets the bail, and he's got a second life, but Shield bonks him over the head with the lamppost. Big shutdown going over to the Jax. Here comes Lucid as he sends it on to Clear, dashing in with the audacious charge, but he falls to Clear in the undead passive. Shield finds a two-man Counter-Strike stun. Can Showmaker and Aiming follow up? Yes, they can. It's all under Raptor in a 1v3, but it's not gonna be enough, and D plus Kia pick up the ace at 12 minutes.
A huge fight from the solo laners of D plus Kia that completely turns everything. This game was looking back and forth, but DK have very much reasserted themselves in control. Shiwu is playing out of his mind here today. We're going to get a replay of exactly how this ended up breaking down. This looks pretty bad for BFX at the start. Lucid dashes in, but it's on top of Clear. Once the dredge line ends up hitting on Diablo, it looks bad, but a perfectly timed hostile takeover ends up completely disengaging the Nautilus. And at this point, all you need to make sure is that you don't get flash ulted. And what happens? You get flash ulted. Now the bailout comes in and it's huge here. It looks like Diablo survived, but oops, here's Jax, and he ends up diving onto the backline, taking everybody down. At this point, Clear is way too low, even with Lucid diving in and giving his own life. At this point, the fight is over. Shiwu jumps in to destroy Vikla, who just does not have the health bar yet. The items are not complete for him to be able to stand and tank in these fights. And the spacing, just enough for Shiwu to be able to survive in that fight over Raptor. Everything going down. Just such a good fight coming in from DK, and especially from Shiwu on the Jax.
And it seems like it's the second time this series we've seen a lapse in awareness from Diablo on where a threat is coming in to flank him. Now, we don't know if that's really on Diablo or if it's on the rest of the team and not being able to coordinate or call out, hey, there's a Jax over here, like, hey, where's the LeBlanc from game one, as she was able, or Showmaker was able to find the assassination over the wall, right? But those are the moments where BFX are starting to stumble, and if they cannot prop up this Kalista for Diablo to continuously thrive, then this composition will fall apart fast. And the fact that D plus Kia have now closed the gold advantage and they're starting to climb ahead as the scaling composition, okay, man, I fear BFX are in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, if you're fearing they're in trouble now, that's a problem, because it's not going to get better for them. They're going to try to make a play onto Shiwu, but Beryl is here to completely disengage it. Here's the issue for BFX. Where's the range? Who's supposed to avoid the Malzahar ult? Because you kind of have to step up to do any damage. And let's say that Aiming gets a ton of gold under his belt. Now that he's completed his first item, he can start building more. Who's supposed to stop the tower pushing that comes in from Jackson Ziggs throughout the mid game? Because you don't really have any easy wave clear. Oh no, Shiwu though?
Okay, flash away. He's got Beryl behind him, able to root up Raptor temporarily.
Teleport.
And between Grandmaster's Might and the teleport, Shiu is going to be just fine. Lucid looking for the dive onto Diablo, knowing that he does not have a flash on this Kalista. Looks for the 3 talent strike and the Nether Grass to sit his ass down. Diablo Gonna go back to the fountain as Barrel now might be in trouble. Tries to dredge line to the wall. Raptor looking for one more Sonic Wave. Barrel sidesteps it. Okay, and another dredge line. He Spider-Mans his way out of there. Meanwhile, back in the mid lane, looks like Clear was able to find a revenge kill onto Lucid.
It's a lot going on the map right now, Rafa. We're getting a bit of a breakdown of the macro and the communication that we're seeing. Clear is even TPing up here now. This could become a fight pretty quickly.
Okay, big knock up on the Shiyu. There's no Grandmaster's Might. He's taking up a
He's
turret
just
shot.
dead?
Just one more. Come on, Clear. Can he find a Decimating Smash? No, Shiyu gets the leap strike back to safety off of his comrades. And Vikla is teleporting to the top lane. This game is getting a little wild, K-Man.
I think DK's pretty lucky that Raptor decided to complete his back there, despite the fact that Jax was taking 2 tower shots. I think perhaps some Lee Sin damage might have sealed the deal, but at the end of the day, they forced DK off the top wave, and that means Rift Herald is going to be the priority now. Raptor back out of base to take it.
Be a nice win for BFX, and it will give them the feat of objectives, which will then overall complete into feats, the feat of strength. So BFX will have access to the empowered tier 2 boots, as well as that tier 3 boots will be super nice to have as an additional purchase in for extra stats. Showmaker, though, making his way to the bottom side of the map for at least first brick and get some gold back into their pockets as the Rift Herald thrown down onto the top side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you're using it quick. You want to get that tempo down. DK going to be able to answer in the mid lane, but just Ziggs things happening. You're hoping you're going to be able to get a good amount of damage here on the tier 2. It will get the charge off. Wave is crashing as well. See how DK want to respond to this. It looks like they are going to send 3. It's actually Raptor who could be caught here.
Shiyu takes the Blast Cone, denying Raptor the ability to escape. He's forced to flash over.
The dredge line!
The dredge line finds Vikla and interrupts the Realm Warp. That means Raptor's going down. And even though Vikla might be able to walk his way out, he still has to deal with Shiyu's Jack, who is on the hunt. Vikla does not have teleport. This is just a slow eventual death, and the best that Vikla can do is try and farm up a couple of minions here before he goes back to the fountain.
It's just a complete overstay from BFX. I'm not sure if they just expected no one to answer the Rift Herald on the top side, but they have 2 people in the area who are very susceptible to the damage coming out, and they just get punished really heavily. That pulls things completely in favor of DK. Not only is it a big gold swing from the kills, but it's basically a 1.5k gold swing just from the towers alone that they're able to pick up. A massive, massive win for DK as we see a replay here. Again, Raptor's just walking in, face-checking this brush. He has to know that people are rotating to try and check on this Rift Herald that's been dropped on the top side. He ends up flashing out. They feel a little bit too safe coming in with the Realm Warp, and Barrel just with a gorgeous, gorgeous dredge line to be able to interrupt it. He's had a great game so far on the Nautilus, and that really seals the deal.
I'm just thinking about it now, K-Man, but I think Raptor kind of sold out Vikla, because if he doesn't tank the dredge line and allows Vikla to be uninterrupted by any CC, maybe Raptor goes down, but it guarantees that the Realm Warp goes off, and at the very least, Vikla gets out alive. Maybe Raptor if there's not enough damage there, but because he sidesteps it instinctually, well, you get what just happened on your screen. So now, BFX starting to slowly lose their grasp on this game as the gold lead begins to climb in favor of D+ Kia.
And we can't reiterate enough here, it does not get easier for this team as we go along. You thought it was bad before. Well, now Malzahar gets to flash ult anyone on the enemy team that he wants to. The Ziggs is going to be pressuring side lanes. The Jax is going to be a huge issue to try and deal with throughout a lot of this endgame. And you don't really have a lot of clean answers. This Xin Zhao's 1k gold up on the Lee Sin. Just gets to walk in and take these Raptors away from the namesake. They could even be looking for a fight here. They really want to be greedy, but I think the Dragon's just the priority.
Yep. You're going to stop the Dragon stacking from BFX and ensure that they don't have that as a win condition to close out the game rapidly. Decent damage from aiming as he throws the Mega Inferno Bomb over the top onto Diablo and Kellen. Clear is going to be the first one to walk up here and try and absorb any pressure as Shiyu is looking for the long flank around the wall of this Dragon Pit. Throws down the ward, knows that it is at least undetected. Vikla pushes him back. Got to be careful about the Malefic Visions, though, from Showmaker, as Vikla tanks a counter-strike there. Here comes the engage from Barrel, finds the dredge line. It is secured by Lucid for the third dragon of the game, and Clear is too far forward, forced to flash away. Raptor looks for a Sonic Wave, but he has the bail safeguarding away. Lucid pops the Crescent Guard. He's going on to Diablo's head. He's got the bailout right over the top, but the Malefic Vision is going to pop him now. Diablo's forced to look for the shutdown and the re-engage, but he's still going down anyway. They don't have a Callista anymore. It's all faith onto Vikla's rise. He's going to throw it out the realm where maybe someone can get out alive. It's Clear that gets the bailout, but Kellen is left on the wrong side of the tracks from the rest of the team. D plus Kia going to be able to put a quick end to his life. And this squad is continuing to ramp up into the game, and BFX are running out of options.
A very nice fight from DK, despite the fact that they suffer some casualties there. I think they're going to feel okay with how that broke down. Vikla is stepping up. Clear's teleported back in for this.
Oh boy, well, Shiu does have a teleport. I don't know if he's going to get out, though.
Oh, double
He's got
TP.
a teleport coming in from Showmaker, aiming. And, oh, no, it's not even aiming yet. He's coming in later. Barrel is the one that's arriving. And now Showmaker just needs to step up, throw down the Malefic Visions on top of Vikla. Aiming is running with his fast little Yordle feet, trying to throw down bombs as fast as possible. Mega Inferno Bomb kind of goes, well, oh, he pumped it back with the satchel charge. Oh, that was crazy work by D plus Kia's 80 carry, as he is showing some finesse on this Yordle pick.
And it's not even over. Otacon's been started by BFX because of the amount of resources that DK just used to take that fight. That we could be seeing even more action happen right now, Rafa.
Showmaker trying to do as much work as he can on this Malzahar, throwing down the Malefic Visions and continuously proccing it with his Q onto Clear Scion. Lucid goes into the back line, Crescent Guard galore, and there's another grass, gonna silence Raptor. Shiu comes in, Raptor able to flash over the wall, but he's getting slowed by the Malefic Visions of the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. BFX loses out on their jungler and their top laner, and Kellen's got nowhere else to go. Aiming, looking to put him back into the gray screen simulator. D plus Kia completely running over this game.
This is looking suspiciously close to my solo queue games, Rafa, where we are just watching everybody dive in over and over and over again until one team has too big of a gold lead to overcome. Unfortunately for BFX, that is very much going the way of DK right now, as not only are they getting the Otacon, they get this tier 2 down on the bottom side of the map. It's just so good for DK. They play these fights patiently. They combo their abilities well. Showmaker's ultimates have been big. Raptor's not had a chance to play this game for a singular second. Remember, this is the entire back end of the fight. We've had about a minute and a half of fighting up until this point, but Lucid dives in immediately to try and disengage the jungler, and once that ult comes down, even if Raptor is able to survive and flash over the wall here, it's not going to be for long. The burn ticks down and kills the jungler. No smite available, and the fight's already over. I mean, the damage is coming from aiming. The damage is coming from Lucid. DK are just too far ahead at this point, and their scaling comp is working.
BFX, I don't know what final play they can go for, because when you look at ways of trying to set up Diablo for success, you have to get through Showmaker's Malzahar point and click. You got to get through the depth charge of Barrel, and now we're at the point where D plus Kia not only are online, they're ahead of the curve relative to where BFX are standing in terms of their own gold and their own item spikes. And now D plus Kia, it should be a fairly simple game to close out, unless BFX are able to exploit a lapse in judgment from D plus Kia if they make a big mistake. And knowing that this was a team that did get swept by Weibo Gaming earlier on in the tournament, it's not necessarily out of the realm of possibilities, but it seems like D plus Kia are firing on full cylinders in tonight's series.
I mean, DK looks so good, and for BFX, you know, at this point, it's not even really up to Diablo. The question is, can Vikla, of all people, carry this team across the finish line with this rise? He's been very good in these team fights, but just hasn't had enough to be able to break through. See if he has the opportunity here. He's pushing against Shiwu. I just called him out. I hope he doesn't make a gigantic mistake and caster curse me, but now he's not even here for this push into the base.
Raptor is pushing for mid-tier 1. They do not believe they could have defended the inhibitor on the top side anyway, so just trying to get some standing gold off the map into BFX's pocket so that they can operate on a more even gold footing. They can't even get the tier 1 turret. Vikla is going to return to the bottom side of the map, see if he can get this tier 2 turret knocked down. Baron has yet to spawn. It will be coming up in the next few seconds, but I think D plus Kia are going to take their bases, redeploy, and spend their gold.
Yeah, I mean, all of that to not even get the mid tier one, to not even get the bot tier two. You weren't able to pick up anything on the map. Of course, you were probably going to lose that inhibitor no matter what. You are going to get some vision priority here, but this will be cleared pretty effortlessly by DK as they end up taking priority. This is a 5k gold lead, and this is likely the last fight that BFX will have any chance of being able to play. They need this setup to be absolutely perfect, and they need to make sure that they can have their main carries play the game. It's okay if Raptor gets disabled and if he just gets turned off in the game with the Malzahar ultimate, but at least for now, it's going to be Lucid saying, all right, you want to set up so much around Baron? Well, we'll just take the Dragon for free.
There you go. E plus Kia, understanding that BFX are so nervous about the Baron being started and making sure that they establish defensive vision around there. That's the second Dragon secured for D plus Kia in this game on the 4th overall one. They've got 2 Cloud Dragons to the name, so a little bit of extra movement speed for them to skirt around the map and rotate just as quickly. And for BFX, we can't state it enough, K-Man, unless something tragic happens to D plus Kia members or they get disconnected from the game, I think this is just the inevitable victory for D plus Kia.
And they might not even need Baron. This team has so much of such a big range advantage over BFX that they can siege for forever, basically, with the Ziggs and with the Jax being able to take the side waves. So it's really difficult for BFX to be able to answer.
No way. The Grasshopper thinks BFX is going to come back from this gold state? That's crazy. Realm Orb does not get taken by Vikla. Was looking for the flank. Dredgelight connects right on top as Lucid and the rest of the crew are trying to get through clear Scion. Hostile takeover was stall the fight for now, but Shiu already taking out Kellen from the exchange. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but Nethergrass flash right on top of Vikla as he flashes forward the Crescent Guard from Lucid, aiming still alive, and Showmaker still doing damage and pumping out with the Malefic Visions while blinking on sub 100 HP. Are you kidding me? Showmaker, playmaker, Vikla, the last one to survive, and Barrel will take him out with a flash dredge line. CY add to Vikla's rise. D plus Kia gonna push it in for the end.
D plus Kia show everyone why they are the favorites at this tournament. They won't have a long time to rest, but at least for now, they can be considered the big winners right now.
D plus Kia are going to put away BFX, knock them down to the lower bracket as D plus Kia ascend to the upper finals to take on Nongshim Red Force.
Whew, and they got no time to think about it. It's coming up right now that they get to play another series, and you know what? That might be a good thing because the confidence and the momentum that this team just showed in this series was astronomical. They looked incredible at playing the map, at being able to capitalize on mistakes. This is the D plus Kia we were waiting to see. We got thrown off by this Weibo Gaming loss. Well, here's the DK I think we all really wanted at this tournament.
There you go, and I like that mention of D plus Kia having momentum on their side, because it's kind of like when you're getting a win streak in solo queue and you just feel good, you're in the groove, you're locked in, you're in the flow state, and being able to just jump quickly into the next series, you're still going to have that positive mindset. Whereas Nongshim Red Force, yes, they were able to win the overall series, but it was a 2-1 and they had to take a break, they had to cool down, so they're going to have to hype themselves up and make sure that they can get locked in, because D plus Kia are looking hot right now.
I mean, they're on fire. I'm sweating just watching them. It's a lot of fun. I think their solo laners were incredible in this series, and I really do think that was kind of the thing for me. Lucid had an incredible game on the Xin Zhao here in game number 2, but Shiwu and Showmaker I think are the 2 big takeaways from that series. Shiwu had an incredible series, outplayed Clear in basically every aspect of both of those games, had massive impacts on the team fights, especially on the Rumble in game number 1. And of course, Showmaker, you don't need me to tell you how important he was to these games. The Malzahar ultimate was big. Showmaker being able to pick up 2 kills on Diablo that were really relevant to game number 1. I mean, these are confidence-building types of performances from players that absolutely needed it going into this tournament.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, unfortunately, even though Shiu definitely deserves some type of shout-out, whether it is a player of the game or an MVP of the series, he might not get it this game because I think the Malzahar was just so big in just determining the outcome of certain fights going their way, because flash, point and click suppression, pretty damn hard to outplay, even if you are someone mobile like Kalista or someone like Lee Sin. And just watching those outcomes be determined off of one champion, Showmaker had it in his pocket. BFX should have known that could have been a possibility. They did not respect it, and now D plus Kia are able to reap the rewards because of it.
Yeah, I think there's an argument to be made for player of the game for basically everybody on DK in terms of, oh, aiming took all the towers and constantly had side lane control. Barrel, I thought, had a great game on the Nautilus. This is one of the better games he's had at this tournament. Lucid was really the one diving in and creating everything in these fights. It was Showmaker following up on the Xin Zhao engage. And so, you know, it was just kind of a team effort from DK. And that might be the most encouraging thing that we've said so far, is it's not just one or two players stepping up and being able to outplay their opposition and, you know, capitalize on mistakes. It was DK being the better team and being able to team fight their way to victory.
And now, D plus Kia find themselves getting ready to play in the upper final against Nongshim. I'm trying to wrap my head around what Nongshim are going to be the most afraid of and try to punish the most looking at this D plus Kia roster, because off of game one, I imagine that it was, okay, well, maybe you're taking a look at how much you can punish off of aiming if he gets a little too far isolated, even with the Lulu in his back pocket, because a lot of BFX members were just sending in and making sure that aiming didn't get a chance to be considered in those late game team fights, or the fact that Showmaker wasn't able to get the cleanest advantage off of LeBlanc into the Galio. But off this game too, I don't know. And I'm glad I'm not the pro player that is in the position of any of the 5 seats over in Nongshim, because they're gonna have to solve that problem on their own.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that, like, okay, well, let's ban out the things that they played well in this series. Oh, we're banning out LeBlanc, and we're banning out Jax. You know, like that doesn't feel good. Like, that's leaving up Showmaker's Orianna, which has been huge, and obviously it was taken out of a lot of this series. That's leaving up Azir, which was gone throughout all of this series. There are so many things that this team didn't even get a chance to play that we know that they can pilot. That's what makes this so difficult to kind of, you know, fathom, is that if you want to take them off of the comfort they've already shown, great. But if you want to take them off the comfort they've shown before, like, you gotta pick one of the other.
Yeah, and when you look at how well D plus Kia were able to deflect early snowball pressure, I almost imagine the Nongshim are just going to be on better footing if they try and go for scaling and just match it up. And like I called out, K-Man, I feel like it was kind of expected in the cards to see a Showmaker player of the game just off of the Malzahar performance and how warping it was for that game state into BFX's composition. But Shiwu deserves shoutouts, guys. It deserves shoutouts. But let's take a look at the bracket now that everything is set in stone for our upper final in our Asia Invitational Playoffs bracket. Nongshim Red Force taking on D plus Kia in our final series of the night, whereas starting tomorrow, we'll start to see the outcome of the lower bracket with Weibo Gaming taking on BFX.
Yeah, you know, it's not over yet for the two teams that lost already tonight. Weibo and Fearx both have the opportunity to go on their lower bracket run to potentially still win this tournament. Their hopes are alive. They just have utilized that extra life that they end up getting. But Nongshim and D plus Kia is on the docket, and this is really the matchup we were waiting for. This is the big one, winners finals.
Here we go, K-Man. Well, we're not going to waste any more time here. We're going to take I'm not sure how much of a break it's going to take. 10 minutes will be on the dockets here, what I'm getting from our lovely producer, Alk. So be back in 10 minutes, y'all, and we will kick off our upper final, our last series of the night between Nongshim Red Force and D plus Kia. Welcome back, y'all. We are getting ready for our final series of the night between not BFX and D plus Kia. It should be Nongshim and D plus Kia. Our upper final. We'll take a look at the bracket real quick. Whoa!
Oh.
That was great. That was great. I've missed these nights, man, of the super triple best of 3 of Doom, super long night shifts. But we do it for the love of the game as Nongshim Red Force taking on D plus Key in our upper final.
Yeah, this is winners finals. This is the big one here. The winner of this is one series away from winning the entire tournament, from winning all of ASI. And as a reminder, whoever wins this, they're done with the best of 3s. It's only best of 5s after this series from here on out for the winner, of course, with the finals being that best of 5. So it's imperative that you pick up a win here today to make sure that you are in as good of a spot as you possibly can be to, get that side select and take this tournament home.
That's right. Gonna get a chance to greet both of the teams that we saw earlier today one more time, as they are really doing the double duty of playing 2 best of 3s in the same day. I mean, this is really going to put a test to their overall endurance and mental. Now, in the grand scheme of things, K-Man, it's kind of similar to playing a best of 5, but it's 2 separate series. So essentially, the bans and the picks for the Fearless scenario are reset. And for Nongshim Red Force, they got the chance to at least witness the full series of D plus Kia while they were waiting for the series to end. But D plus Kia, you mentioned it before, they have momentum on their side.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that it's one long best of 5, but for Nongshim, it's like a 6-hour long best of 5 right now that they're in the process of. And that's definitely not going to feel as comfortable. They came out of a 3-game set, whereas DK only had to play 2 games as well. They're probably a bit more, refreshed and up on that. I would certainly say that DK, have a little bit of the favoritism there, but you're right. With the Fearless resetting, it's really important to make sure that we, talk about all of these picks that worked out for these teams at the beginning of the day. They're all open again. You want to say, who cares? We don't need to go to new things. I mean, there are some really big picks that are, obviously going to be available because it's game 1 of a Fearless draft, but we've already seen what these teams can do even when they're taking on, other crazier opportunities in team comps.
I know this is, you guys have already seen multiple days of the cardboard cutouts of the players on the seats, but as someone that is coming in for a one-and-done show for the Asia Invitational, it is so entertaining just to see that setup. But that is the reality of having all the teams remote in for this tournament, but still awesome that they can at least do it anyway. And getting a chance to look at the player cams for both squads here, Nongshim Red Force are going to have to lock in and try and match the overall fire that D plus Kia were able to demonstrate against BFX just a few minutes ago.
I mean, that's really the thing, is that these 2 teams played 2 very different series at the beginning of today. They both won, but in very different ways, where DK dominated. Nongshim had a much harder time, I think, overcoming Weibo. Almost threw game number 3 away, did throw game number 1 away. So definitely not the most consistent, but right now we're seeing the true determiner of who's going to be able to take this series, who's going to be considered a threat. Is he finally going to pick the team on the right?
The Grasshopper was leaning towards Nongshim Red Force, but it's D plus Kia that gets the Grasshopper's vote for our upper final. I think they should tell D plus Kia right now. It's like, hey guys, the Grasshopper believes in you. Good luck. Get this bag. Get this dub.
Hey, if I'm Nongshim and I'm hearing that the Grasshopper chose DK against, like, the left blue side, positive curse, you got it. It's your series. Yeah, take it. We can head home. There's nothing to play for.
You want that prize pool? Hang on. We can't back down now. Now Nongshim gotta be able to play up and be like, hey, what's going on here? We can't let a Grasshopper decide our fate, as they still got a chance to try and make the unexpected happen, considering the circumstances that D plus Kia are going into this best of 3 for. As here we go, draft begins now, and we've already rushed through a majority of the bans. A lot of mid lane bans already coming out between both teams, plus Nico's support taken off the table.
It could be an eco mid lane ban. You don't know, Rafa. Anything can be thrown out at this tournament. Yeah. No, these are expected bans here. DK going with the exact same ones they did against Vikla in the previous series, just now against Calyx, two of the mid laners at this tournament that have had the least of a proven commodity in terms of their time domestically. But Nongshim looking at some of the things from the previous series, seeing that LeBlanc really pop off in game number 1, feeling comfortable to take that away. A playmaker for Beryl. It's the Ornn as that safe pick for Kingen on the top set that they want to get rid of, but it does leave the Rise up. This is absolutely the priority mid laner that is left through the rest of this here, so...
God Guo deserves a Worlds invite. That's what I'm saying. Hey, I mean, they're in the Team WE arena, and Worlds is going to be in China later on this month, so he's right there. Just hop, skip, jump, bring him over to... I don't remember where Swiss stage is being held at, but it's got to be close enough that the trip is worth it.
Yeah, it's, I definitely would believe that we can make that transportation happen if we need to, but talk about things that worked out in the previous series. Shiwu just getting right back on the Rumble that he absolutely dominated on in game number 1 against BFX. Felt so comfortable for him. I think the moment that we saw this get through on blue side, it felt pretty easy to consider that a lock-in. Lucid, of course, going for the Wukong. You talked about it earlier, Rafa, but the most consistent skirmish engager in the game right now. Really of any role, but specifically in the jungle to be able to set things up. I think they're going to be pretty happy with this on this side for DK.
Yep. Gideon going to take the Xin Zhao in response as the next best option if you want to throw hands in the early game, and at least you have access to CC pre-level 6 so that you could try and force some things early on before Lucid is able to come online with that Cyclone, but I'm a little nervous considering that Nongshim were able to, gave over the Rumble so easily. Oh boy! We're hitting all the greatest hits of D plus Kia right away. They felt super confident on Showmaker's Malzahar, and it is, I don't think it's undefeated. I think it has lost one game you mentioned during...
I believe, yes. Kati, I believe, lost on it for Viking. Earlier in the tournament. I believe that was to Nongshim.
But has Showmaker lost the Malzahar game, though? I don't
believe he has. I think he's 2-0 so far on Malzahar at this tournament.
Stats don't lie, Kate, man. There we go. That's all I need to know.
There it is. There it is. Definitely worth noting, though, that that one loss in the tournament that Malzahar suffered was to Nongshim. They were the team that did end up taking down the Mals. Now, the short range on the other side is definitely there, but worth noting, this is a Galio top. This is not a Galio mid, so... certainly one of those champions that you're going to have at least more of a time avoiding for Malzahar than you normally would. This is a matchup into Rise, which I think is significantly more favorable. Showmaker feels comfortable to, play this really aggressively, and if he's going to be able to get in these fights and just lock down anyone, it really limits the options of Nongshim, because even with this comp now, you either lock down Rise or you pick a carry ADC, and that gets locked down instead. So, like the Mals here.
Nongshim trying to take away some support options from Beryl. While D plus Kia have a lot of ways to start off the fight and at least follow up on the fight, they don't really have a dedicated frontliner, and the fact that you already have a Galio locked in, which is going to at least be able to build defensively very easily into both of the magic damage options from Shu and Showmaker. It might be wise for D plus Kia to find one frontliner in for the hands of Beryl.
Yeah, he's been much better at these tank engagers than he is on a lot of other things that gives him a bit more room to breathe with some of the, we'll say, aggressive plays that he goes for. I think that might be the kind way to be able to describe some of Beryl's gameplay throughout this year, but I imagine that's going to be coming through. Very realistic for them to just pick AD carry here and to just lock it in, whatever they want to give aiming. Corki is available, and that was really the first thing that came to mind, is something that's stable enough in the early game, stable enough in the mid game, relatively counter pick free in terms of ease of execution. You can kind of fit it into the comp easily, and aiming going to be happy to pick that up.
Yeah, anytime you have a multi-threat composition like this for your team, Corki fits pretty well because you have independent agency and being able to determine whether you want to follow up on the fight or you're just going to Valkyrie away and just continue to pelt at the enemy team with some rockets and contribute that way. Nongshim, though, because you already have two champions that want to go forward, that want to dive in, you lock down with the Leona as well as the Kaisa for Jiwoo so that he can be empowered to dive onto the backline. But once again, K-Man, you have to be careful about something like the Malzahar that just puts you in your place.
Are we saying that this is a dive comp into DK with Rumble on the top side and You've got a counter pick for it. Obviously, definitely a very different scenario. The Kai'Sa is much better here than the Lucian was in game number 1 of the previous series, but even Barrel's going to be running his Nautilus back from game number 2 of the previous set. Both teams just kind of playing what they're comfortable on and getting to spots that I think they want to play out. Of course, DK scales incredibly well throughout the late game here. Not only are you playing for another potential Rumble win condition, but I mean, look at the setup that you have for a lot of the way that you can play the map. You've got Malzahar to be able to shove waves relatively quickly. Corki's going to have a really easy time, adjusting from range, and you have easy engage with Wukong and the Nautilus. I really like that, but the mid-game power spike from the Rise might just affect everything. This Galio is going to determine a lot on the top side, I think.
And if Nongshim can get their top side involved early on and just make those proactive map plays, I think that is where you can thrive, because you are going to have a lot quicker options in being able to rotate over to a side lane and play fast with the Realm Warp and the Hero's Entrance. Yes, D plus Kia have great options and tools that receive engage as well, because you can throw down an equalizer on top of the dive threats, and then that makes them very scared about continuing to pursue into you. Cyclone is a great way to counter engage as well as engage when you're ahead of the curve. And overall, D plus Kia, they can defensively react to a lot of the dive threats that Nongshim have. The question just comes into, will they have always numbers to match up evenly, or do Nongshim play the map fast enough that they can just overload side lanes with this composition?
Well, and that's the mini game, right? Throughout this entire game that both Nongshim and DK are going to have to function with. I think the main one you're going to be looking at in team fights is Jiwoo on this Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa into Malzahar can be the scariest thing you've ever seen, or it can be very Kai'Sa favored. It's all really just about that positioning. We talked about that side laning. I think that's where DK can really push forward, but if Jiwoo is getting caught out by that Malzahar ultimate, it's really hard for Nongshim to look to win here.
All right, it's time to see how it all unfolds as we hit Summoner's Rift for Game 1 in our upper final between Nongshim and D plus Kia.
Oh, I'm just so excited for winners finals here. Rafa, we get two teams that are kind of on fire right now. Nongshim obviously had a very different experience in their group stage to what DK had, but DK also kind of going through their own bits and struggles. So exciting to see both of these teams that have kind of overcome their own sets of adversity go toe-to-toe here. Only one will be able to come out on top and get themselves to that grand finals here at ASI. We have pretty standard setups. Wards being dropped in everywhere you would expect, at least at the current moment. A lot of safe vision coming in from DK.
Sorry, I was trying to steal a chug of water and not ready for the
I picked the worst time.
No, you're
I
totally
picked the
fine.
worst time.
That was my mistake. I waited until a little long. I was like, you know what? He might go for a longer point. I'm just gonna take a sip real quick, but no time to waste here in our first game of our upper final. Kingin and oh, wait a minute. I am just now noticing lane swap. Kingin taking a post with Lehens on the bottom side of the map, at least just to receive some of the early aggression from Barrel and aiming, while Jiwoo trying to farm up a bit of solo experience into Xiu's Rumble, and Lucid going to be pathing away from the Rumble. Probably did not anticipate this Kai'Sa lane swap was going to come in. I'm not sure if he'll get a chance to look for a three-man dive onto Kingin's Galio. A little bit of a difficult task for D plus Kia to pull off, but we'll see if they'll try.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting swap here from Nongshim, because I don't necessarily think this is always the right thing to do. Barrel going to force the flash out of Kingin for his own, but of course, he's got that Summoner's Spellbook, so nice to get that Galio flash on cooldown as quickly as possible. Kingin is in a tough spot here. You kind of have to sacrifice your 80 carry to make this work. Barrel going to take a tower shot for fun. Take a little bit of a trade back, but again, this is a very interesting decision, because I think getting that Galio into that matchup with Rumble was, I assumed, the reason you picked him in the first place, and you're basically throwing away that counter pick to get a little bit more gold on the Kai'Sa, which isn't even really all that much at the moment.
Now, the fact that Xiu has been able to even up on the CS that Kai'Sa has also been able to find herself. Good receive by Kingin with the Justice Punch, so even though he does get tagged by the Dredge line, he's able to knock him up and guarantee one turret shot going down onto Barrel. As D plus Kia, you can see that they're trying to weaken Kingan's health bar and make it even more likely that a dive could be successful with Lucid showing up on the bottom side of the map, which takes the Scuttle Crab, has taken all of his cams. They're going to look for it. There's no flash on this Galio. Let's see how well they can execute it.
Yeah, it's a level 2 Galio. This is going to be really hard to avoid.
Barrels is going to be the first one to step up. Aiming takes up the turret aggro so that he can drop it being ranged. Barrel's going to be the next one to take it. Oh, they don't kill Kingan right away. That's first blood going over to Nongshim.
Yeah, and we see the counter dive on the top side avoided by Xiwu. That is a big, big win for Nongshim to get that gold onto Galio. You know, for as bad as it is to be at 6 CS at 4 minutes into the game, a kill will certainly even up some of that gold a little bit. The teleport going to come in. Aiming should be just fine here unless the aggressive path that comes down, Xiwu TP'd in.
Xiwu instant flash? What the hell was that?
What? I don't understand. I don't understand when you see 3 on the top side why you are teleporting in to that circumstance. Xiwu basically saying, hey, you know that play I did a really good job of avoiding? I'm going to give it right back. Here you go. He's made some questionable decisions in the early game. That was a really costly one.
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words.
I don't blame you.
That was so bizarre. I imagine that maybe Xiu thought that reinforcements are coming sooner, or just was not anticipating to be dropped that fast. But, well, he pays the cost for it. Still able to walk back topside and be able to pick up some minions, and at the very least, still on an even level footing with Kingan's Galio, but we're past the 5-minute mark, so the first dragon has spawned. Barrel, does he find the dredge line through the minion wave? Not gonna happen.
And right now, it's actually relevant to point out that Calyx is very much winning this mid lane matchup. He's already level 6. Showmaker most of the way there, but down 10 CS in this matchup. I wouldn't say this is overwhelmingly Ryze favored. It will certainly get more Malzahar favored as the game goes along, at least in terms of the shove and the push. But Calyx, with this pressure, gets to move a lot more aggressively, and this kind of helps equalize a lot of the pluses and minuses. Being able to get this back here and basically set up around these grubs, if that is the objective that this team wants to prioritize, is massive. But DK, as a counter argument, is just going to go ahead and take that dragon here at 6 minutes. It will be Infernal for the first Drake, so no soul for Infernal this game, but Lucid going to be happy nonetheless.
Yep. Calyx does not go for a roam topside, but the pressure of Fog of War makes it so that Xiu had to respect it. No flash on this Rumble. It's not the greatest wave state that he's trying to receive at the moment, although it looks like it is pushing into him eventually. Some minions will be dropped and lost as Kingan forces him out of XP range. Meanwhile, D plus Kia do manage to pick up the first dragon of the game. Gideon has arrived on the top side of the map. Calyx is trying to push out this wave and immediately book it to the top side so that he can join with the power of the Realm Warp.
Yeah, and that's really the threat here. Showmaker's making his way up, though. That's big.
Can he get there in time? He does have flash available, looking for the flash suppression under the tower, and he knows that Kingan was the one taking the turret shots, so that's a guaranteed 1-for-1 trade. Barrel, maybe thinking about a flash over the wall as Lucid is now coming into play, has the Cyclone available, but Calyx is able to at least push him off. He's going to be forced to use the clone to get over the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice counter roam from Showmaker to be able to pick up another kill in return, but I like the proactivity coming in from Nongshim to, at the very least, be looking to try to get gold onto priority members here. You now have a kill onto Galio, Xin Zhao, and Kai'Sa, all key components towards how this team is going to function in the mid game. If this Ryze can continue to stay active with those Realm Orbs once it's back off cooldown, it's going to be an okay spot. 30 seconds now on the Rift, or on the Grubs, I should say. That's going to be the objective that everybody's going to be playing over. We'll see how much everybody wants to commit. Calyx right now going to the bot side. No TP and no Realm Warp.
Curious decision. We'll see if it pays off for Nongshim and if it doesn't penalize them in their attempts to try and take those grubs. As Kingan pushes in the wave, Showmaker will get a chance to receive it. That play on the top side did at least guarantee Nongshim getting a feat of warfare for themselves, so they are now 1 feet away from being able to have feats of strength on their side. Grubs has spawned, and right now it's Nongshim that are the first ones into the river. They should be able to guarantee at least 1, if not all 3 grubs at this pace, since D plus Kia, a little slow to react.
Yeah, it's not too surprising to see DK kind of feel like they can't really contest this right now, especially with some of the kills going over to Xinjiao and even the Galio at this point, who's in a really good spot from a gold itemization perspective, at least for these fights. So DK happy to just try and take as much of the pressure on the map as they can. Equalizer's going to get dropped. Beryl just going to continue to play aggressive here, trade his health bar quite liberally in the mid lane here, and really feel comfortable with that. But now it's Showmaker on the top side that could potentially get dove. Speaking of...
two-man dive onto the bottom side of the map. Calyx in trouble. Cyclone used by Lucid, but he's forced to flash away from the ramping turret shots as she is going to take one nasty last turret shot on the way out. And credit to Calyx, it is a flash burn, but he does survive the dive.
Yeah, it's a dive gone awry on the bottom side here. So credit to Calyx for being able to make sure that that's not, you know, a catastrophic mistake from him positioning-wise. He ends up doing exactly what he needs to do, but at this point, the game state is kind of equalized out. No objectives on the map to really fight for. Therefore, I imagine things are good. I'm just kidding.
Lehens knowing that Barrow does not have a flash, so he flashes on top of him, guaranteeing the shield of Daybreak for the stun and the CC chain. That is Jiwoo and Lehens picking up another kill for Nongshim, as now Showmaker might be in trouble. No flash available. Should be easy enough for Gideon to lock him down. Throws out the wind, becomes lightning, gets the audacious charge, and Showmaker tries to look for a return kill onto Kingen, but they interrupt the Nether Grasp in response, and Kingen does not go down. That's 5 kills on the board for Nongshim.
Huge pickup for Nongshim in that fight there. Really, really well played from everybody involved. And we'll talk about that in the mid lane as well. Just a really nice play coming in from Nongshim to capitalize on a big mistake. Beryl, first of all, makes a gigantic error by engaging with the Q in the mid lane, knowing he doesn't have flash. He's very burstable at that time. And then, obviously, you've got a nice gank on the top side as well. It's just Nongshim being more proactive in the mid game. And this is something we saw even a little bit out of DK in their previous series. But this is where this comp is supposed to spike. This is where I want to see Nongshim play aggressive.
Hopefully we can catch up with the feed, as seems like we're getting some technical issues on... Oh no! We've frozen in time. So we can get back to live as soon as possible. Okay, man. We're... Oh, okay. We're getting some frames. We're getting some frames back. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Luckily
Classic
for us,
internet.
Tonight is the last night of the Asia Invitational, where we are getting 3 best-of-3s in a row. Starting tomorrow, it will be both of the lower bracket semifinals as well as the lower bracket finals, as Kingen goes in for the flash. And
oh my goodness!
Forward in time. It looks like Jiwoo somehow arrived to the party as well, and he finds another Showmaker kill for himself at this game.
I would also like to flash forward in time and just watch my Kaisa pick up a free kill on the top side when I'm playing games. I think that would be pretty useful of an ability to have. But all of a sudden, we were talking about a neutral game state. This is a 2K gold lead now for Nongshim. They have completely controlled the entirety of this mid game, and this is the kind of pressure that you need to apply in a game like this. The one thing for DK's comp is, while they do have a ton of tools for the later part of the game, they don't really have a lot of stabilization options for the mid game here. Nongshim are taking full advantage of that, even if DK are going to trade a dragon here.
Well, I was not expecting the outcome to swing like this in our opening 12 minutes of this first game of the upper finals. D plus Kia, I was definitely giving them the edge, considering that they were already kind of in the flow state off of the more recent best-of-3 series, and that Nongshim sometimes cooling down after a full 3-game series and trying to ramp back up. It might be a little bit more difficult, but they're in form so far. Been a couple mistakes from some of the players on Nongshim, but overall, a better showing as they have that 2,000 gold advantage. Showmaker!
Oh, Showmaker?
What? In the middle, under the tower? What? What just happened?
That is... oh my god.
Okay, well, the fight continues. Oh, but Gideon throws himself into the ring, and D plus Kia are able to punish back. It's just throw city one after another.
Oh my goodness, we just watched 2 of the plays of all time. That is truly unbelievable what we've seen. Gideon felt so bad for Showmaker that he goes in himself, and now we've got the top laners duking it out. Shiwoo's in danger.
Kingen should be able to pick up the solo kill because he's got the item spike advantage, but Shield survives. Are you kidding me? And now Jiwoo getting crazy onto aiming, but it gets locked down by Beryl, provides enough space for aiming to get the upper hand on the Kaisa. And here comes Lucid, throws out the bonk stick, aiming able to pick up 2 kills for himself. It's chaos in this first game of the upper final.
It's a complete fiesta everywhere across the map. There is so much to digest that has broken down, but DK have very much gotten themselves back in the game off of that play. I was going to say, before we even had any of these fights, we can't count DK out just yet because this team comp scales so well into the late game, but we're going to get a replay of what exactly happened in the mid lane during all of this while we were watching the bot lane 1v1. It's just Nongshim feeling very comfortable to go for a 2v2. Jiwoo even ults in, and Beryl just flash autos him to stun him up, and now all of a sudden Kai'Sa's just dead. It's way too over aggressive from DK, or from Nongshim I should say, and they get heavily punished for it, and that's on top of everything that had already happened in that exchange.
I almost wonder if Showmaker said, I'm gonna mind control Nongshim by inting, and then make them think, oh guys, they're losing the game, they're into the game, we should go in, and then D plus Kia go, you fell right into my trap card, Nongshim.
Oh my god. If you would have told me 5 minutes ago that Showmaker was going to make one of the most unbelievable plays I've ever seen, and all of a sudden DK would have a much easier time in this game, I could not have told you that it would go like this. I can promise you that this was not the direction my mind would have gone in, but now DK have full control over this river. They should be able to really play up and forward with this Herald spawning in 20 seconds, and if they're able to grab this, you can basically, say that the gold lead is gone.
Yep, it has evened up, and now Calyx might be in trouble.
Oh, the lockdown.
Lehens is on the way, though, but Calyx just gets blown up before the Solar Flare even comes through, and Lucid was able to sidestep it thanks to the power of that clone. Rest of Nongshim cannot get in range quite yet. Lucid throws out the Cyclone, deters them for now. Good receive by Beryl as he finds the Dredge line. Lehens falls, Kingen falls, and now D plus Kia are able to turn the tides of battle and punish Nongshim where they stand. Damned be the early game, D plus Kia are back in control.
I specifically remember us talking about how DK maybe didn't show up like we thought they would. We just gotta trust the process. We gotta let them scale. This is exactly what we're looking for. DK just utilizing the power of the Malzahar. You want to play the game as Ryze? No, thank you. We don't want you to do that. The lock up, the lock down, and the death coming in. Now, Nongshim at this point should understand they just don't really have the resources to continue this fight. While Jiwoo is here, he's significantly too far out of the fight to get a lot of the damage in. By the time he ends up really being able to get off all these autos, his entire front line is gone, and Lucid and aiming are just burning through the entire health bars here of Nongshim, and this game has gone from being Nongshim 2.5k gold up to now DK in a scaling position with a huge gold lead.
Yep, 3,000 gold ahead, and Lehens might be in trouble here. Gets silenced on his way out, but he's still got a heal, and he's still got a flash, so D plus Kia are not going to waste any more tools just trying to lock down the Leona support. D plus Kia setting up for the third dragon of the game, and the fact that they have secured 2 dragons for themselves in a scaling composition with now a dragon win condition on the horizon. Oh boy, D plus Kia back at it again, K-Man.
They're just so predictable. They always seem to be able to make something work in the back half of these games. They have another shot here. That dragon stacking is really, really going to be a problem for Nongshim because of just how reliable this Chem Soul is going to be for them. Now, this dragon right now that is spawning, this is essential for Nongshim to get, and actually it looks like DK might just be ceding the pressure.
They're going to throw down the Rift Herald instead and say, okay, cool. You're going to try to start up the dragon. Oh, Shiu caught out. He throws on the Equalizer, a little bit of damage, but the dragon was turned off by Nongshim and still unleashing potential for D plus Kia. Lehens trying to go forward onto Beryl.
It's a flip.
Kingen gets in the middle of the mix as well. Lucid steals the dragon right under the nose of Nongshim Red Force. Now D plus Kia just got to kite on back and drop as little deaths as possible. Realm Orb from Calyx will allow them to close the distance against Showmaker. He takes a lot of damage on the escape route, throws out the Nether Grasp, trades 1-for-1 onto Gideon. Kingen trying to get into the mix, but he goes way too deep as Jiwoo and Calyx were not able to follow him on that trip. D plus Kia still getting the better end of the trade.
It's DK somehow winning every part of that exchange, and Calyx still pressuring out Lucid. They get the dragon. They end up picking up the fight as well. Shiwoo's just got him on the DP.
Shiu says, hello, my little friend. I've come for revenge, and at the very least, we'll get the flash off of Calyx's Rise.
Yeah, he will be able to get out of here, but I mean, DK is just running the map. Once again, it's Nongshim just feeling overly confident in the way that they're playing out these exchanges. We get another look here. Shiwu is on the flank. He just walks into the Galio taunt and just gets full comboed into death. Certainly not the play that you're looking for from your Rumble, but at this point, with the way that Lehens ends up going in, the fact that neither jungler has been zoned out of the pit, this is a complete 50-50 in terms of the smite going down with the redemption. Lucid with the knockup just lands the smite, ends up being able to get 3 on the second proc of the Cyclone. And at this point, it looks pretty good for Nongshim. DK have to disengage, and, you know, they don't necessarily have a ton of resources, except they still have the Malzahar ultimate, which I think everybody forgot about on Nongshim. They just didn't have any awareness. Gideon gets stuck under tower, and at this point, Kingen doesn't have the health bar to re-engage this. It's just a big overstep again from Nongshim that DK take advantage of.
And I didn't even see it on the first time around, but a nicely timed Call of the Void from Showmaker. A 4-man silence of everyone that emerged from the Realm Warp, not able to instantly pounce on that Malzahar upon entry. And it does delay and set up D plus Kia for that turnaround under the tower. And now, the gold lead hasn't ballooned out of control away from Nongshim, but it's still a 3,000 gold advantage overall. D plus Kia now on soul point, waiting to secure that Chemtech soul in under 3 minutes.
I mean, that's it, right? If you give them that, it's going to be real hard to be able to figure that out. Now, Otacon is spawning in 30 seconds, and that certainly makes for a more interesting decision because it is on the top side, depending on how DK want to play this, or potentially how Nongshim even get to play this. Could see a pretty big delay of game spikes right now. But it does look like DK feel aggressive enough to feel like they can pressure this out, or at least start to gain control of this river. Lehens might be caught.
Oh no, and he doesn't have flash from before. He only has an ignite. That's not going to do anything nicely for him. D plus Kia now create a numbers advantage on the Rift just in time for the Otacon spawn.
Well, and that's it, right? Is you lose a member right as a major objective spawns. This is what you can't be doing if you're Nongshim. DK gonna easily be able to make their way up to this Otacon. This should be very difficult to contest. Now, Calyx is getting this tier 1 on the bottom side as something in return. They do have those 3 grubs, so he is able to push a lot more efficiently than maybe you would expect, but this is certainly not a trade that is Nongshim favored, and it really won't take a lot from Shiwu to be able to counter this. It's just gone.
Gideon is on the other side of the map as well, trying to set up some aggressive vision. And Kingen, my guy, brother, what are we expecting? Oh man.
I mean, it is. We are truly getting some of the plays that will stay in my memory from this tournament, Rafa. These are the plays. This is ASI. This is what we were here for.
Yes. I'm living for it. Well, D plus Kia now have a 4,000 gold advantage off of the Otacon take and picking up a free Galio. He will at least be back on the Rift in time before the Chemtech Soul spawns for D plus Kia to try and contest.
Oh?
Okay, maybe a pick onto Barrel here. He's getting dropped super fast, throws out the death charge.
Equalizer.
Got to be able to retreat. Equalizer was thrown down, but Gideon's able to deflect the damage thanks to the Crescent Guard. Jiwoo still under fire as Lucid tries to enter. Oh, Jiwoo gets clipped by the Cyclone upon re-entry. Kellen gets dropped, or Lehens gets dropped, I should say. Jiwoo still trying to run away and reposition on the right side, but aiming is pressing forward. Valkyries and takes out the Kaisa quickly. And Kingen gets dropped just as fast as he did on the top side of the map. D plus Kia 30 seconds away from picking up their Chemtech Soul.
That might be your dagger. Man, DK just effortlessly are able to play that fight. Nongshim looking for a desperate play onto Barrel at the start, but he's just too tanky. It takes way too long for him to die, and his team is in too good of a spot for you to be able to pick him off. Again, you feel like you maybe have the damage with Jiwoo to be able to take him down, but look at how long Barrel lives here. He buys enough time for basically his entire team to get involved. This Equalizer zones Jiwoo out of the fight entirely at the start, and then Lucid gets to play so aggressive. Ends up getting caught, as you called out, by that second proc of the Cyclone. No more engage, as aiming just basically gets to free fire on the backline here with this Corki. Showmaker's damage over time now coming through as well. It's just a really easy fight win for DK with their wallet diff, and at this point in the game, now with Chem's Soul potentially available for them to fight over, this could be looking very dire for Nongshim.
And a staggering 7,000 to 8,000 gold advantage in favor of D plus Kia. Yeah, I don't know, Nongshim. You would have to get a series of throws from D plus Kia on top of you guys playing better than them in order to find some kind of miracle. Calyx I don't think you can outsmite an actual smite from Lucid with even with Overflux or Overload and Spellflux. Calyx now might be in trouble. Still has flash available, but can't flash from the Dredge line because he was silenced by the Call of the Void. And get Nethergrass, bro. Try to play the game safely, but he still has flash over the wall. The Seraph Shield provides enough sustain. He's able to make it out alive.
Hey, shout out to all the chatters that hate Roa Seraphs. There's your Roa Seraphs diff right there coming in for Calyx, but we'll see how much it matters. DK staying aggressive.
Woo! Flash Dredge line right on top of Gideon. He throws down the Crescent Guard, tries to deflect as much damage as possible, but Lehens is going to be the first one to fall in this fight. Jiwoo forced to use the Killer Instinct just to get away, but Call the Void refreshing the duration of the Malefic Vision, still not enough. She was trying to snipe Jiwoo on the back half a screen away with that Equalizer. Doesn't quite find him, but the Kaisa is forced to retreat back to the fountain to recover all of his HP. The first turret falls in the base. Inhibitor could be next for D plus Kia as Beryl sends it one more time into the backline. Calyx receives the hook. Kingen gets dropped next. And D plus Kia just might end the game right here.
It's just so easy for D plus Kia. Their damage is too high. Their front line is too tanky. They can take whatever they want on the map right now. That's 2 inhibitors in the base. Machine potentially going to try and stop them. There's no way that they want to try and take this fight. The redemption will get dropped. DK even looking for a re-engage, but this is a 10k gold deficit now for Nongshim. If it was bad before, it's gone from bad to dire. Chem Dragon is off the map at the moment. We don't have that timer up on the screen, but Baron in 15 seconds, that is DK's priority.
Okie dokie. Well, D plus Kia, even though they're not able to clean out the game just yet, they've set up all the pieces necessary to be able to push into the base for a game victory win off of the next successful fight. And what better way to draw Nongshim to you for free by starting up this Baron?
Yeah, they have to answer, and unfortunately, Lehens might pay the price.
Yep, he's got no flash, so that's a dead Leona on my screen. Now, that should be easily set up for D plus Kia to just rip this Baron without any contest from Nongshim.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 12-0-9 Corki, 4,000 gold up on the Kaisa. Hard for a Leona to survive, and even now, the fight getting turned.
Oh, boy. Well, Calyx, you realm warped in by yourself, and you're going to get nethergrassed and suppressed. So, yeah, this one's wrapped up, K-Man. D plus Kia gonna take the Baron, gonna take a couple more kills for themselves. Jiwoo now under fire, literally from the Flame Spitter. Wait, okay, Jiwoo was forced to flash over the wall, but now Jiwoo is popping the ghost, trying to run for his life from Showmaker. Doesn't have the Nethergrass, but still does not want to disrespect the damage coming out of this Malzahar.
Yeah, we get a little bit of a pop-up. Showmaker's had a great game on Malz. He's got a chance to even increase his win rate right now. As they siege down these final turrets into the base, they will gain their final inhibitor, and they will look to end the game. Nongshim gonna have a real hard time defending this without their mid laner.
That is a crazy stat. That last Showmaker Malzahar loss was back in 2018. This guy is just the GOAT at Malzahar. Holy moly, D plus Kia. Now have the Baron buff on their side. 3 inhibitors taken out. It's just 2 Nexus turrets and a Nexus base separating them from a Game 1 victory.
And right now, it's just the minions that are hitting the tower and just getting you a lot of pressure for free, Lehens.
Okay, Lehens sends it on to Showmaker. Full-on knock-up in the bounce house, but Malzahar still doesn't die, by the way. Kingen and Jiwoo, the last members standing, and Jiwoo's gonna get burned to a crisp by the Equalizer. 5-man ace in the base of Nongshim. It's D plus Kia with a Game 1 win.
Well, there you go. There's your game number 1. We wanted to see DK take that momentum that they generated against BFX and turn that into a big win in game 1. Well, they did more than that. Woo! They took a gold deficit at 15 minutes or 10 minutes or 12 minutes sometime early on in the game and turned it into a dominating win with their scaling comp. Just everything you wanted to see from this team and then some. I think they played their comp just about as well as you could.
This is what you call a flip. Shout out to my main man, J. Cole. As D plus Kia turned that deficit, as you called it, into a game-winning advantage. Steamrolling Nongshim, and now 1 game away from advancing to the grand finals of our Asia Invitational.
I gotta talk about the damage difference of the 80 carries here. 41,000 to 19,000 in damage difference. I mean, just No, it's not good, and I don't even blame it all on Jiwoo, right? This game just becomes so unplayable for you once DK gets any gold. And this is what we talked about in draft, when I was mentioning the Kaisa and saying, hey, there's a real shot this champion does well. There's also a chance that Kaisa just gets Malzahar ulted and loses the game and just can't really play, or just gets Wukong engaged, or gets hit by the equalizer, you know, whatever, right? That there's so many things that can end up taking this dive comp and turning it into something that just needs to play, well, hope we can protect everybody, and it kind of fell off the rails really quickly. You can't really have one bad fight, and that's what happened here.
Oh, so that's how Showmaker died in the time frame where we were like, what the hell happened? Jiwoo just showed up on the top side of the map and Showmaker's dead. Well, found a good Killer Instinct angle, but this was one of the fights where things started to fall off the rails for the Nongshim train.
Oh, it fell off fast, too, because this is just a mistake. There's really nothing else to say. You can let your main carry die. It's okay for Calyx to drop once and for you to, you know, seed a Rift Herald at that point, which is what you're fighting over. You don't need to charge in and try to avenge him in every single fight. It just became such an issue of Nongshim thinking they were stronger than they actually were, and then giving even more gold over to this DK comp, who could just front it back a lot more consistently. When the smite comes down from Lucid that wins this 50-50, the game is in a really tough spot from this point onwards. Oh, gosh. That's rough.
That's crazy. And,
that's personal.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it was that long ago, 7 years ago, is just kind of wild. 5-2 overall in Showmaker's career with the Malzahar. He has definitely perfected it. He is now 3-0 in this tournament.
That's correct. 3-0 right now at this tournament, playing
impressive.
Malzahar. Yes. Pretty darn good. And you know what? The pocket picks are flowing today. They're working today for Showmaker. We had the LeBlanc band in game number 1, but I don't know. Do I hear a Zoe calling my name? And then, you know, in the potential future, I'm just trying to think of the Showmaker picks that we could see spice things up.
If we saw a Zoe just to flex on them, I'd be amiss. I would be so down. Aiming's gonna pick up the Corki player of the game. As you called out, it was a massive damage diff, nearly double the amount of what Jiwoo was able to contribute to the table in these fights. So that wraps up game 1 for us, folks. D+ Kia now 1 game away from being able to advance to the grand finals. We'll see if Nongshim can find a rebound or if it's just going to be a straight up sweep and an early night for us here on the LPL English broadcast. See you right after this break. Welcome back, y'all. We're getting ready for game number 2 between Nongshim Red Force and D plus Kia. I did a double take. I was like, I felt BFX creeping up in the back of my mind, like, no. They're in the lower bracket. They can't be here. It's impossible. All right, D plus Kia just took the first game after what seemed like a promising start from Nongshim Red Force, and then I don't know if it was Showmaker propelling himself with the empowered blast cone under the tower that just made Nongshim lose their minds, but something happened that broke down the momentum train for them, and D plus Kia are now 1 game away from advancing to grand finals.
You're really not kidding, Rafa. Showmaker makes one of the most absurd plays of all time, and all of a sudden DK win the game. It is truly incredible, and if DK is going to use that momentum to propel themselves forward, if that's the kind of confidence and aggression that this team is willing to play with right now, anything is possible for this team, truly. Both good and bad. I am so excited to see what they can pull out here for game 2.
It's funny how these are 2 LCK teams, but we find ourselves using the mantra of LPL this year. Anything is possible. And you know what? It's just Nongshim and D plus Kia leaning into that spirit as we get a chance to load into our second draft of the series in just a few moments. But we're going to take a look at the player cams. Kingin, gotta lock in, bro. Yeah, the Galio was looking good early on, and then I don't know if it was the team's fault or breakdown in communication. Look at Showmaker, man. He is locked in. Cold ass stare. This guy just played Malzahar twice in a row. And now we're going to see what else he's got up his sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be feeling unbelievable right now. I don't know if there could be a better feeling in the world as a mid laner than getting to do whatever you want on the map and knowing that as Malzahar, you can just press R and everything's going to be just fine. I think that's the place to be. But again, Malzahar's gone. That adaptation needs to start to take place. I threw out a potential option as a pocket pick. He seems to be kind of moving towards some of those comfort picks for this tournament. The LeBlanc is most famous champion, and obviously the Malzahar coming out here. The Zoe is on the table, the Ahri, something that he's very famous for over the course of his career. Somehow, some way, I just don't feel like we're going to be getting a standard Showmaker game.
Maybe a Syndra Showmaker?
Hey, hear me out? Viego mid. That is a Showmaker classic. Truly. If they want to go for it, hear me out.
Chat,
what do you think?
A little too hard? Are we close to burning the kitchen?
I don't know. All I know is that whatever Showmaker does now, I'm going to be locked in on after how basically this series has gone up until this point. Not just this series, but the previous one that we got. He's been such an integral piece to why DK's actually just been able to disregard their lack of gold in a lot of these games and actually win team fights. He's been able to find priority targets in basically every fight and be able to eliminate them regardless of the champion he's playing. Just cast the game. Hey, you know, I got a microphone. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, well, don't tempt fate. Producer Alk can just instantly mute you or send you to the Shadow Realm and take your camera. Oh no, you've been muted.
No. I'm just excited to get into draft here for game 2. Similar bans, the LeBlanc and the Imbessa in particular, I think being taken away makes sense. But DK, a big fascination here with making sure that Showmaker's in a good spot. And honestly, through the first 3 games of the day that they've played, I can certainly see why.
Will be another mid lane one of this series for the draft phase. D plus Kia definitely taking their time to decide, and ooh, it's the switch up with the Aurora. And not only it's a takeaway from Calyx, but also in case Kingin wanted to flex it for himself in the top side of the map. But Nongshim looking down the round of skirmisher junglers available for the table. And yeah, Vi, definitely nice way if you want to guarantee point-and-click lockdown on one priority target.
Yeah, we talked about this previously, but the order of operations right now for the priority junglers is very much a team-by-team dependent thing. We've seen Jarvan be so heavily prioritized throughout this entire tournament. It's gone through pick and ban, in game number 1, and now so far the Vi prioritized on blue side over that Jarvan as well. So certainly a bit of an interesting adaptation considering how this tournament has gone, but plenty of things to pair up with the Vi. It's very flexible. This Jax being picked on R1 does indicate that they do once again just want to go for this style where they can get their solo laners into a good spot, and certainly wouldn't mind them picking up another, priority jungler here, whether that is the Jarvan itself or perhaps a Sejuani that pairs well with the Jax.
Maybe. D plus Kia. Also have to think about if the Taliyah is going to be sniped away by Nongshim, as Taliyah and Vi has been a tried classic combo for the entirety of the 2025 season. But Nico was left on the table as well, and the Taliyah does get secured here for Calyx. So now, not only you have the Taliyah Vi point and click lockdown onto one priority target, but you also have AoE CC coming in from that Pop Blossom.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge turn on blue side here for Nongshim. They have a very, very strong engage comp right now. You have plenty of ways to start fights and to keep them going. If you find good angles to be able to create plays and be proactive in the mid game, you got to make sure you have some damage come in, though. I think the 80 carry that rounds out this comp is going to matter a ton. Who you play off of could be very valuable, and just as we were talking about earlier, this Jarvan was eventually going to come through in a pick ban like this, and they end up pairing it up with now the Lucian culling that can really take advantage of anyone trapped.
All right, now the question is, what other champions can D plus Kia use or lock in for themselves that really capitalizes on top of a cataclysm that prevents Nongshim from being able to move or escape from a small AoE circle? Well, Ziggs comes to mind. Not sure if Showmaker wants to take that into the Taliyah specifically, but just something to keep in mind.
It is something to think about. You never really know with Showmaker what he's willing to pull out right now. Makes a lot of sense to at least ban out some of those top laners that give Jax some problems. Gnar, kind of the main one that you really just want to take off the board and not really give an option. We talked about the Ahri previously for DK. I want to take away playmakers for Showmaker. I think that really is the thing for me that I'm the most scared of here. I get that their individual matchups into Taliyah just aren't all that ideal, mostly because it's difficult for Ahri to feel comfortable dashing when Taliyah can just put her ground down and make things a lot more difficult. But specifically, I think having Showmaker on something that can create action alongside the Jarvan is the most important part, even if it doesn't necessarily cause all this havoc and panic inside the cage itself. Twisted Fate, I think, is another great example. Pretty much every major macro threat has been taken off the board now.
And because Galio was already played in the previous game alongside the Rise, those are further notches down the list of champions that you have available to you for Showmaker to try and roam quickly around the map with this Jarvan. D plus Kia taking their time on deciding whether they want to lock in their mid laner of choice and wait to give counterpick to Barrel for R5, or go for the Barrel counterpick right now.
Yeah, certainly would expect the support pick here, and it's going to be the Bard as the lock-in. I actually quite like this in terms of the way their comp is set up. They needed a playmaker. They needed somebody that could really create alongside the Jarvan and make sure that you can have these wombo combos. Again, you draft Jarvan for the big combo potential, and I think Bard actually in a roundabout way creates that. He creates extra walls to end up having some problems there as well. So trap someone in the Cataclysm and then Tempered Fate or the other way around, it can all really work out. Expected damage coming in from Jiwoo though, and that's what we get with the Yunara.
You already have the Nico secured, so you have major engage tools. Now, Nongshim, do you go for a tank for Kingen so that you have a proper front line to stand behind as this Yunara and Taliyah? Or do you double down on the dive threats and, oh boy, okay, well, Gragas definitely throws a wrench in the plans for D plus Kia, because Gragas can kind of facilitate both roles depending on what Kingen decides to build.
Yeah, this is a Kingen classic. This was something he's played so much over the course of his career. I don't mean to say it, this really is a bit of a Zoe angle. If DK want to go for it, there is something to be able to play off of here if you did want to go for it. But again, that Gragas really shuts down not only the Jax in the side lane because you have that body slam to be able to shut things down, but... Oh, there it is. There's the Kassadin.
Say it with me, chat. Castle win. Oh my goodness gracious. You have so much magic damage on this damage profile from Nongshim because Nico, Taliyah, Gragas, and a little bit of splash of magic damage thanks to the Yunara passive. This is a great Kassadin angle, and for Nongshim, a true timer is truly put on their heads. If they do not close out this game fast before Kassadin hits that level 16 mark and gets 2-3 items under his belt, I mean, this is the ultimate scaling champion when you look at the threats that are still available in this game.
And the problem for Nongshim here is that really makes it hard for Yunara to function in this game, because when is she supposed to generate all of her gold? This is already a comp that really wants to spike in the mid game around Vi and Talia and Nico, moving around the map and being proactive, being these big playmakers. Well, now you've got Kassadin that's not only going to be able to isolate himself and kind of neutralize a lot of those plays, you've got disengage from the Bard, you've got disengage from the Lucian, you've got disengage from the Jax. It's so hard for Vi and Talia to lock anyone down in this game. DK have a ton of scaling on their side, and they have plenty of ways to get there, and it's not just us who believe.
Yeah, the Grasshopper is dead set on D plus Kia's side in that box. And I think after seeing a Kassadin, oh, they're even using the old Kassadin splash art. Oh, now I feel like I'm back in 2013, man. Oh, take me back to the good old nostalgic days. Oh, now I feel old. Okay, man.
Yes. Yeah, you're telling me. I've been around since 2012 as well in this game. You know, I've been around for Casa Win, for every part of this champion's history. Now we get to see Showmaker pilot it for I believe the first time in 2025.
Oh boy, well here we go. Game 2, time to hit Summoner's Rift and see if Nongshim can bounce back, or if it's going to be a D plus Kia sweep into the grand finals.
Oh boy, is this game interesting to set up, because while you are getting relatively normal starts from both of these teams, I do think that there is some interesting, I guess, information to glean from exactly where these players are going to be going. 11-3 on the Kassadin over the course of his career. That is a ridiculously good win rate. I get that Showmaker's won a lot, but he is a proficient Kassadin player. I can specifically remember multiple Kassadin games from international tournaments past where he's been able to take over. We'll see if he can do it here again against the Talia.
He's even got the unsealed spellbook just to have access to more playmaking potential. Either some aggressive summoner spells like the Ignite and the Exhaust, so that when he jumps onto a priority target, he can guarantee that they are going to bite the dust, or even things like Ghost, just so that you have a lot more movement speed to navigate in a team fight, paired alongside the multiple instances of Rift Walk that you'll have available as long as you have the mana pool to boast for it, as Shiwu did get an aggressive ward onto Gideon's blue quadrant jungle, but returns to lane, and already taking a pretty nice aggressive trade into King against Gragas.
Yeah, this is okay for Jax right now. It won't be okay for Jax for long. Eventually, this interaction will turn quite poor. That's always been the case for Jax into Gragas, and that's where I think you can look at Nongshim's draft and see a lot of positives for them, as they are just going to have quite a few ways to play early. I think the Talia, obviously, into the Kassadin is going to have every bit of tempo in the entire universe, and, you know, Vi generally has a pretty decent matchup into the Jarvan, into the Kassadin as well, so it's going to be at least easy for Nongshim to play aggressive. It's just how aggressive are they willing to go, and how big of a lead can they get?
Normally, I wouldn't stress that you have to go super hard in the paint early on, but that all changes when you're playing into a Kassadin. I think the onus becomes even more urgent for you to force plays onto this Kassadin in Showmaker's hands, and to the credit of Calyx, it looks like he's going to be putting some decent pressure onto Showmaker's health bar. And one barrier that Showmaker does have to overcome before he's level 6 is that he has melee range, so it is a little difficult to try and safely pick up farm. And as I've seen from previous Kassadin setups, sometimes they go for fleet of footwork just to have a little bit of extra sustain, but credit to Resolve Tree as well as the Dorn Shield. Probably feels comfortable with enough sustain under his belt, plus the fact that he went Inspiration Tree and gets Biscuits too, and he's totally chilling, but maybe Gideon can find something on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, for Kassadin, now it's the waiting game, right? It's just making sure you're in a position where you're not getting taken advantage of early by the Vi, because the one thing that will cause your win condition to become much more difficult is giving free gold over to the other side here. Talia's basically going to have a free laning phase. She's always going to have shove, and Kassadin really has no way to be able to fight back against that. Calyx has been very good at playing the map and playing side lanes throughout this tournament as well. That could be an avenue for them to potentially get back into this, but really, my eyes are going to be on Gideon. What can he do on this Vi? Because you've talked about the clock ticking for Nongshim. Well, a lot of that pressure of accelerating that clock is going to be on this Vi to create plays around the map.
Yeah. Lehens was trying to look for a sneaky minion disguise play sneaking up into the mid wave. But looks like he's been there for quite some time, and because he's been moving so sporadically, Showmaker has to know. And yeah, he's throwing up the question mark. Frog's like, who do you think you're fooling?
You gotta love it. You gotta love how pro players get to use that passive, and some of them use it very well, and some of them are very, very fun to watch. Lehens usually uses it well. Unfortunately, that time, maybe not the best execution we've ever seen.
And low-key, I think he leached a little too much XP from Calyx there, so that Showmaker might have an opportunity to hit level 6 before Calyx does on this Talia. Decent CS advantage for Calyx at the very least, but Showmaker going to be hitting that level 6 spike relatively soon. And once he gets access to Rift Walk, then this matchup becomes a lot more difficult for Talia to always have that leverage on top of.
Yeah, I mean, Cassidy definitely going to feel a lot stronger the moment he hits that level 6, which is basically happening right now as we speak, especially on this next wave, but certainly not going to be perfect overall for Showmaker. I still think that Calyx has plenty of opportunities to open up the map for his team and to create that tempo, create those extra turns, as I like to call them, but now it's Gideon doing exactly what we talked about, potentially taking advantage.
Nice single barbs onto Barrel. He pops the heal for the movement speed, but Gideon is looking for a nicely timed flash into Vault Breaker as he was channeling it. Gets over aiming and finds first blood for Nongshim.
Yeah, it's a huge first blood for them to get. Again, this Vi has to have gold going into the late game. If she does not, she's going to get absolutely destroyed in these team fights. And so getting that kill onto Vi, I think, is actually really essential. And getting more gold onto the Yunara, I think, is also really important. We haven't really mentioned Jiwoo a ton in terms of how this game breaks down. But if there is a late game win condition, a protect the AD carry, play style, it is absolutely through this Yunara in the later part of the game. Getting an assist down there is really positive.
And you called it. Even though Calyx has not been able to set up a play onto Showmaker's Cassidy yet, it doesn't mean that your win condition is completely lost. Now you just have to try and leverage your pressure somewhere else on the map. Find a timer where you can base, TP back, have that last chapter available to you so that you can instantly shove out the wave, and then just try and look for a Weaver's Wall onto the bottom side of the map and get more kills into your pockets before this Cassidy really takes off.
That's exactly what it is. That's why you pick the Talia early on in the draft, because regardless of who you're going into, you get to make these plays in the early game. This champion is able to accomplish so much as long as you are actively staying open to the possibility of moving around and sacrificing a few waves. That's what you're looking for. But Calyx could be getting stunned up here.
I mean, he's not going to be forced to flash anytime soon, but you can already see that because Showmaker was able to stay so long on the mid lane and matching Calyx's base with a tier and a catalyst, he's going to have his mana pool starting to ramp up, and he's got the catalyst for extra sustain on top of it. I mean, this is a perfect state for Showmaker to operate in. His Barrel trying to ensure that aiming is protected on the top side of the map.
Yeah, it's really just a question now of how much do you want to put into the grubs. Again, this Talia is not nearly as far ahead as you would like at this point. You want to make sure that that mid lane matchup goes according to plan, but with 5 seconds on the spawn timer there, we see basically everybody corralling around it. Nongshim is in the pit.
Showmaker tending to the wave first and probably just signaling to his team is like, hey guys, I'm Cassidy. I would like to farm. I would like to scale. Let's not throw the game on this grub pit unless it's a good fight. Showmaker now finally roaming on over.
They're going for
Weaver's
it.
Wall thrown out. Lucid is on the other side of the wall. Showmaker trying to follow up in the play. Cease and desist. Locks down Lucid, forcing him to flash into the pit. And maybe D plus Kia have a chance to reposition safely for a re-engage. All 3 grubs go to the credit of Nongshim. And now it's just all about retreating, not dropping any unnecessary deaths. They get the objective.
Yeah, it's non-committal from DK, so they don't really lose too much, but at the same time, they're not pressuring anywhere else on the map. It's okay to give grubs over if you don't feel comfortable taking the fight, but you lose a lot of time being able to pressure down a top lane or a mid lane if you are going to pull that attention, and so it ends up just being a win for Nongshim. They pull the time from DK, they get the grubs, and that's the kind of aggressive play they need to make to keep this game neutral.
But now that they've secured the grubs from themselves, K-Man, it's all about actually leveraging the power of those grubs to accelerate to your pace in the game. Get extra gold into your pockets. Try to get to those item spikes a little bit faster so you have that little bit of a timer to find those wins on the D plus Kia. Because we can't stress it enough. if you let this Kassadin coast into the late game without any challenge, it is not a winning formula for Nongshim.
That is not a Casa winning formula for them at all. No, you need to pressure this guy out. Kingen forcing the flash out of aiming already. Very nice play from Kingen. No flash on Lucian is very, very valuable to have for these fights. Dragon is up as well. It has yet to be taken on the map this first Drake at around 10 minutes into the game. We'll see if with that pressure, Nongshim want to try and, push forward now with that. But DK rotating their bot lane back down, trying to get themselves in a position to potentially start stacking these.
Gideon will clear out his topside camps before he plays for Dragon with the rest of Nongshim. And the fact that there is no flash on this Lucian now for the next 4.5 minutes, that should be a big red flag for Nongshim to say, okay, guys, if I just press ulti on Lucian, this guy should die. In theory. Now, there are some countermeasures that D plus Kia can try and enact if Barrel can find a well-timed Tempered Fate on top of it. It delays the combo, but here comes Nongshim with their priority in starting up this Dragon.
Absolutely what they should be doing, forcing DK to make a decision on the map. Do they want to try to contest, or are they going to push elsewhere? The answer right now seems to be elsewhere. Dragon is free, but we got to watch that top lane tier 1. Jax and Jarvan on that side.
Lehen's looking for the Pop Blossom Flash right on top of aiming. There's the Temper Fate to stall out the combo from Talia, and the magical journey over the wall. Oh, nicely played by Barrel's Bard, and delays time so that D plus Kia's 80 carry. Oh, the Flash Cosmic biting onto Calyx. Flash from Lucid falls up with a nice slam dunk of a Cataclysm on top. Jiwoo trying to go crazy as he goes transcended by Jiwoo with the Flash counter strike. That turns the tides in the favor of D plus Kia. Lehen's going to be the next one to fall. That's the Fetus Drake picked up for D plus Kia here in game 2.
Oh, what a massive fight for D plus Kia. It's beautifully played by Barrel on this Bard. We've been waiting for a vintage Barrel performance, and I think we might be getting one in game number 2 here. Ridiculously good stuff, and we get this thrown up now. Nongshim has not had a good historic record versus DK, and it is showing right now as we get a replay of how this starts. Lands with a great flash to take advantage of the flashless Lucian, but it's a better ultimate coming in from Barrel. He sets up the journey back out, aiming all of a sudden is safe. He can culling over the wall, and he basically lands every single bullet here onto the Talia, making it so easy for Barrel to feel comfortable flashing in and going for this aggressive play. The dunk comes down from Lucid. He does take a little bit too much damage from Jiwoo in this exchange, but I think they're going to be pretty happy with how this turns out as Jiwoo gets the 2.5 man stun here with the clone, and the Jax can easily clean up the fight. The only negative you can say for that for DK is that Kassadin didn't get any of the gold, but outside of that, that was a perfect fight for D plus Kia.
And for hardcore LCK fans, they know that D plus Kia have the upper hand when it comes to Nongshim, not just in recent memory when you look at their split 3 playoffs run and being able to dominate Nongshim and make it as the second Rise group seed into playoffs, but also credit to our producer Alk, who showed their historic record. It is a devastating one that favors D plus Kia and unfortunately not Nongshim.
Yeah, I mean, DK's been good for a long time, and we're seeing why here. Aiming, dropping the culling. Down the head, just dead!
Okay, well, the gold lead is still not that big for D plus Kia, but the fact that it's a scaling composition, a super heavy scaling composition just off of the strength of Showmaker's Kassadin, who, throughout all the chaos that has happened, he's just freely farming up a storm with no challenge from Nongshim as Gideon quick moves with the Vault Breaker, dashes away from that Tempered Fate set up by Barrel. Meanwhile, Kingen trying to find an explosive cask on the Shiu, doesn't really put him in a compromised position here, but D plus Kia in a completely fine state, if not a very winning state at this pace of the game.
This is tough for Nongshim, because we talked about how they needed to get an advantage, how they needed to get gold on priority targets like the Unara, the Talia, the Vi, and they've not been able to do any of that throughout this mid-game. We're already starting to hit the point where DK is strong. Showmaker is level 11, and you gotta remember, that is a massive, massive difference for this Kassadin. Roa is completed. It's not quite stacked up yet, but it is only going to get worse. All of that gold actually went to Jax, which makes this an even bigger problem in side lanes. The pick potential we haven't even really talked about from Bard and from Jarvan as a combo for DK means that Nongshim can't even feel comfortable walking up on the map. There are so many things moving against them right now. But DK do have to be proactive. There is a way for this game to stall out a bit for them.
Is there? Yeah, I mean, I would agree, but the fact that Showmaker is just coasting at this rate, decent CS advantage because Nongshim have tried to be proactive with their earlier spiking composition and the tools that they have available to make fast plays on the map, and they have not been able to get anything advantageous, so Showmaker naturally a level up onto Calix's Talia. Level 11, so rank 2 on that Rift Walk, going to be even shorter of a cooldown and more powerful in the damage
Lucid.
department, as Lucid doesn't find the knockup, but Showmaker ready to play and engage onto Gideon as he gets knocked out by the cease and desist, but great Tempered Fate by Beryl, deflects and stops the Pop Blossom from even coming in, and Showmaker is just going crazy into the backline, being able to Rift Walk all over Nongshim's corpses. Jiwoo dies in the magical journey trying to escape. Lehens will be the next one to fall, and Kingen can't do anything as he pans over briefly to the bottom side of the map just to see all 4 of his teammates die.
Beryl is smurfing right now in this game on the Bard. He plays this just about as perfectly as you can. The setup is great. Lucid goes very aggressive for Jiwoo here to pair up with the culling, but doesn't actually land it. So this engage isn't really all that great. Showmaker's in a very compromising position, but this Tempered Fate, I mean, this completely saves the fight. It dodges Showmaker from that Pop Blossom coming in from Lehens, and now the re-engage can come through from both the Kassadin and the Jarvan, all the while aiming, doing all the damage possible on this Lucian, blowing up this Yunara as she has to basically do all of her damage onto Showmaker to even just disengage him from the fight. He even comes out of this alive, and we immediately come back to Kingen using ult to disengage.
He's now level 12 on this Kassadin, and 6 minutes from now, when the Rod of Ages completes, he's going to get a free level as a Cosmic Binding clips Lehens into the wall. Showmaker's ready to follow up as well. The flash from Lehens barely gets him out alive, but D plus Kia can now easily look to take the Rift Herald in response as Calix tries to flash away, but she follows on top of it and bonks him with the lamppost to death. Nongshim just losing everything on the map as aiming is going to dash under the tower, takes out Jiwoo, will fall and trade for it, and just shut down bounty goes over to Jiwoo's Yunara, but I feel like D plus Kia don't really care. They are so far ahead.
We got 2 back-to-back solo kills, I guess 3 technically, and then we cut to Beryl and Gideon, and I thought, oh, here we go. We might be getting it. Gideon's got to be careful here. Tempered Fate is just barely going to miss. Beryl continuing to stay aggressive. At least look for these plays. It's just been a really fun and proactive game from D plus Kia, and even if they are giving some gold back, it's not going to matter too much as Gideon looks to pressure them at the very least out of this Rift Herald pit, but you can't really do that. This team is too far ahead.
Yeah, the Nongshim are definitely gonna at least put enough pressure that D plus Kia cannot commit to the Rift Herald all the while, but it definitely doesn't allow Nongshim to take it unless they are forced to just blitz it down, which Gideon is gonna try to pull off while D plus Kia are backing off the objective foot. Now it's gonna call them back over.
Yeah, I mean, they can just rejoin this fight. They've got everybody here. We have the teleport coming in from Kingen.
Weaver's Wall tries to separate members of D plus Kia away from each other, but it just pins them on the other side of the river. Lehens with the Pop Blossom knocks up 2. It's already secured Gideon for Rift Herald, but Beryl makes it out alive. They lose out on Lucid, but oh, he's a little too close to the turret. Okay, not ideal for D plus Kia. And Nongshim will be able to find a nice response, picking up the Rift Herald as well as 2 kills for them. Maybe they can break open this mid-tier 1 turret.
That's a huge play for Nongshim. It doesn't completely get them back in the game, but you need an injection of gold from somewhere, and Lehens finding a great Pop Blossom to start the fight will definitely be that creation. Oh, no way.
Jiwoo thought that he was safe to crash the Rift Herald into the tier 1 turret because the rest of the team went for the dragon, but Jiwoo was behind enemy lines, finds that pocket of fog, gets a nice flank off, and now Calix might be in trouble as Showmaker is starting to ramp up the Rift Walk. Doesn't decide to go for the dive yet.
That would have been such a greedy dive here from Showmaker, but knowing him, it is very possible. Jiwoo continuing to just make everybody's life on Nongshim much more difficult as he just siphons over resources to himself with jungle camps. Aiming will be able to get solo tower gold on this mid lane tier 1, open up the map even more, and things are just immediately like that right back in favor of D plus Kia, despite the fact that that Rift Herald fight was not ideal.
Nice combo from Calix onto Beryl. Will he go down? No, he's got a magical journey to get back to safety. Linking up with aiming as Xiu is going to answer into Kingen. Gideon sneaking through the lane. Does have cease and desist available. Shu does not have Flash, but he has Grandmaster's Might. Nice combo from King In. Cease and desist right on top of it, but the counter-strike
Oh,
does
King In.
prevent
Oh,
the auto attacks from
no.
going around. No way!
Oh.
Shu finally bites the dust there, but it took everything from getting in King In to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, and if that magical journey was slightly better, perhaps Bard could be here
no.
for this. Actually, Lucid's going to do his teammate a good favor and try to get him in range for a potential
man,
assist
Lucid.
here.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
Goodness.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing happened here. Everything went according to plan, and they picked up the kill like they were supposed to.
You did not see Lucid miss the EQ flag and drag. It's okay. They still got the kill in the end.
Oh, goodness.
I'm catching strays. My producer just goes Rafa J4. Holy, oh, come on, man. I don't make those kind of plays,
Oh
bro.
my god. It's
Oh,
just
man.
everything's going down right now. Unfortunately for Nongshim, they are on the sinking end of the Titanic as it plummets into the sea.
Ooh,
Hopefully they can figure things out and get themselves, you know, back on track for the rest of this game. It's just going to be so hard with Kassadin.
Producer Alk doubling down, saying it's not a straight, it's direct. Oh, man. Well. Oh. Understandable. Understandable.
Rafa, you gotta fight back. You can't take it.
Bro,
You got...
I can't fight back. He's not wrong. Sometimes it took me a while to get a grasp on J4. Me and Alk have played enough times on amateur competitive teams that when I first started playing J4, it wasn't great. But we improved it. We improved it, and now my J4 is very respectable for an Emerald Diamond level. Anyway, D plus Kia trying to put the finishing touches on wrapping up this late game as Showmaker is 2 levels away from level 16. Aiming, almost clipped by that seismic shove. Flashes at the last possible second. Getting aggressive onto Lucid with the ball breaker.
Here.
But Showmaker has arrived. He throws down the Cataclysm and gets back out with the EQ flag trap. Aiming with the culling. Puts the lights out of Lehenz's eyes, and D plus Kia now continuing to flank and push on forward. Lucid gets blown up, but that opens up Showmaker to get aggressive as Aiming alongside Showmaker blows up Jiwoo. Showmaker looks for Calyx next, and here comes the flank from Shiu off the teleport just to put an end onto Nongshim's lives.
Poor Lehenz didn't even get the Pop Blossom off before he got called down to his grave. Once Showmaker showed up and got those ults rolling, things became quite difficult. The TP interrupted.
Explosive Cask punts him away, but she was still in range to look for the leap strike. At least King, he's got a flash. Shiwu is not letting Kingen getting away, and you even saw on the player cam Kingen with a slight smirk on his face going, all right, well, this one might be chalked, gamers.
Yeah, I don't think Kingen is sitting there blaming himself too much for the game state that we're in. We're going to get a replay of this big fight that took place here. Lucid feeling aggressive because he knows Showmaker is on the flank, and Aiming's in a great spot for this. Lehenz wants to try to Pop Blossom, but just gets bursted down inside the Cataclysm. The culling ends up taking his life. This exhaust onto Jiwoo is massive for this fight. It means this turn is actually significantly slower from Nongshim, which gives Showmaker time to re-enter the fight. Even with the Vi ult landing onto Aiming, there's more than enough damage to obliterate the AD carry of Nongshim, and at this point, it's a very easy cleanup. Shiwu even TPing in to be able to take one of those kills for himself. It's another dominant fight for DK, and at this point, we can't even really sit here and go, well, now they can move on to, they can do whatever they want on the map. Dragon in 20 seconds, that's likely going to be their goal.
And the biggest thing is that Showmaker, off of that fight, the Roa finally ticks level 10, or the 10 stacks, and hang on, Gideon is in trouble, and Showmaker is there to arrive. He is level 16, y'all. The clock has struck midnight on Nongshim's chances to try and find a comeback into this game. It has run out. Showmaker has hit level 16 on Casa Win, and I fear that this series is about to be over.
We can start playing the outro music now. Rafa, you've made some phenomenal tracks for us, and we might as well start blasting those because this game is not looking good, and Jiwoo is looking even worse here.
Oh my goodness, Showmaker is absolutely terrifying. Forces the ultimate out of Jiwoo just so that he can get a chance to escape Showmaker's grasp. And thankfully for him, he ran out of mana chasing him down, but I don't think Nongshim have any tools, or at least enough tools, to deal with this Kassadin at this state of the game. 4-0-6, 3 items to his name, 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. I think it's time to wrap this one up, boys.
Question is now, how do they want to do it? Do they want to wait out this Baron spawning in 25 seconds? Is that going to be their priority? Or do they fancy trying to find a pick in a team fight? Right now, Lehens feels like he has to go up and check. He doesn't really have teammates around him.
Oh no, Lehens is in trouble, and good night! Blink and you might just miss that Lehens died in an instant. G was going to be the next target. No flash available. The cease and desist does put a stop to Showmaker's roll, but a tempered fate. Beautiful once again from Barrel. Showmaker doesn't even go down. Lucid with the Cataclysm locks down Calyx for the cleanup. And D plus Kia just wipe the floor with 3 members. And Kingin, he knows. He knows. And Shiu having a laugh.
God.
They know that this series is chalked, and at least Shiu has the sportsmanship to let Kingin play with his food for a bit before he's now under threat. And Showmaker gonna TP back, run him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is sometimes just how the game goes. Showmaker is in the base. He has crossed the lines through the turrets. He doesn't need the inhibitor turret. He's finally going to go back for it now. Baron has been acquired throughout all of this nonsense, this amazing sportsmanship that we are seeing. And we actually see a teleport coming in from Jax. They're a bit disconnected in terms of their timers, but the end could be very well near within this next push for DK. And I think Nongshim are starting to accept that as well.
Yep, 12,000 gold deficit is pretty damn hard to overcome. Pretty much close to impossible. It's like 99% that there's no way that
Oh, Otacon's still up. Yeah, I guess we can take that.
Wow. Well, yeah, you might as well pad the objective stats and make sure you are taking everything off the board here so that Nongshim have absolutely no shot at being able to make a comeback. It would have to take more than just stellar play from Nongshim. It would have to take serious throwing from D plus Kia. It would have to take Lemony Snicket writing a full-on series of unfortunate events just to make this comeback happen. And I don't even think we would be able to get through one book. D plus Kia now about to put the finishing touches on wrapping this series up.
Yeah, Showmaker's level 18, Calyx is level 14. This game has not really been going well in the back end for Nongshim, but we could be seeing the final push happen now as DK takes the inhibitor tower. The inhibitor will be the next to fall on the top side, while Showmaker splits that in the mid lane as well. With these Baron empowered minions, they can only hold out for so long. Shiwu even pushing down on the bottom side. One engage from Lucid could end this entire thing.
All right, Nongshim, let's see the Hail Marys come out. Let's see your last stand. Kingin just standing there, trying to look as menacing as possible, despite being down a lot of gold. Okay, Tempered Fate locks him up. Here comes Shu with the counter shot. Looks for the backline instead. Pop Blossom is decent, but no follow-up is available from the rest of the Nongshim members because they got to deal with Showmaker and Shiwu just blitzing the backline. Showmaker picks up a double, pops the stasis from his Seeker's Arm Guard. Calyx looking to try and get at least one kill into Showmaker. It's not gonna happen. Showmaker is immortal on the Kassadin. That's the ace for D plus Kia. 27 minutes. That's game and series finished in the books. D plus Kia are going to the grand finals.
And boy, did they earn it in this series. This was a destruction, a 4-0 day for D plus Kia across their 2 bracket series that we have gotten so far to get themselves to grand finals. There was a lot of question about whether or not DK were truly the favorites at this tournament going into it. I think all of those questions, at the very least for now, have been erased. Whatever you think happens in the lower bracket, they are going to have to meet the Titans that are D plus Kia in the finals.
The Grasshopper did not lie. The Grasshopper knew every time when D plus Kia was on screen, the outcome was evident. And for D plus Kia, oh my goodness, 26,000 damage on Kassadin. Gee.
Kassadin most damage in the game is a very, very bad sign. That lets you know that things got out of control way faster than they needed to.
I mean, we saw that Nongshim's attempts in trying to break the game open for themselves went completely awry, and Showmaker was just comfortably farming by himself on the bottom side of the map. So when you take those gambles and you don't end up victorious with them, then you are essentially accelerating your doom.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. It's tough to be able to play out these early game comps when you don't have any sort of late game win condition, and it's even more difficult where, let's be honest, like, you're not favorites in the series. In order to play comps like this, they require a higher level of execution because you need to make those proactive plays count. It's not just making them, it's making them in the right place at the right time. And if DK ends up playing this game correctly, which they do, they're able to stall out enough to get to the point where they win one fight and the game is over.
Well, K-Man, I know producer Ulk is a very happy camper, knowing that he gets to go to bed a couple hours earlier, knowing that D plus Kia were able to put a quick wrap on both the BFX series as well as the Nongshim Red Force series. I know that he was sweating a couple bullets when BFX had their opener in Game 2 of their respective series. But nice to know that for us here on the LPL English broadcast, we will all be, well, at least here, us closer to the West Coast, we'll get a chance to go to bed before the sun rises. I know, K-Man, for you on the East Coast, the sun is blazing through that window right now.
It's 9:19 a.m. over here on the East Coast. We've gone through the night and we have gotten to the morning. Obviously, very thankful to get the chance to wake up and see the sunshine alongside this wonderful ASI gameplay. It's always a pleasure here, but DK certainly making my morning worth it.
There you go. I mean, we got a cast win game. My goodness, that is... If you're gonna win and blitz the series, might as well do it in style, and that's exactly what we got from D plus Kia. The tournament expected favorites before coming into day one, and the fact that it was a little rough for them, especially losing the series against Weibo Gaming in the fashion that they did, it's okay. They were just warming up, getting their feet wet, and then boom, they have now ramped up into the form that should be a favorite to win the entire Asia Invitational.
Yeah, I mean, they look as good as they possibly could at this tournament. I know a lot of people were, you know, maybe who weren't as tapped into the LCK were maybe surprised to see how DK's year went. They weren't just, you know, not a Worlds team. They were in the Rise group for all of Summer Split. This was a team that, you know, was kind of looked at as the odd man out for a lot of the year. And after such a good LCK Cup and all of these famous players and such a historic organization, I think a lot of people were, you know, maybe not, you know, seeing what was going wrong with this team. It's good to see that in some of the bigger moments of their season, because they're not going to be making Worlds, they are able to step up. This is, you know, the last we will see of this version of DK in 2025, and they're certainly making the most of it.
That's right. Well, we are waiting to see the eventual Showmaker player of the game with the Kassadin. I could also see a Shiwu player of the game. Nah,
yeah.
Come on. The aura is just too good to not give it to Showmaker for the Kassadin. Is that 3 player of the games today? Because it was back-to-back player of the games from the BFX series with the LeBlanc and the Malzahar.
Yeah.
Then Aiming picked up the first player of the game of this series, but Showmaker, 3 for 4. Yeah. Not a bad way to put yourselves into grand finals for the Asia Invitational here, K-Man.
It is 3 of 5 on the votes. 2 votes for Beryl. I kind of feel that in my heart. Beryl had an awesome game on that Bard, but how can you not look to everything that Showmaker was capable of doing, kind of carrying his team as he's done for a lot of this year? Yeah.
Honorable mention definitely is deserved over for Beryl, but I mean, Kassadin aura is just too hard to beat out. But ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our broadcast for tonight. We'll take a look at the bracket now that D plus Kia have advanced to the grand finals, where they now await their eventual opponents, where Nongshim Red Force will await the winner of Weibo Gaming and BFX to see who advances from the lower finals.
Yeah, let's not forget, this tournament is not over. DK have done a great job to get themselves now into finals, but nobody that we saw lose today is out or done from their attempt to win the entire tournament. Weibo, FearX, and Nongshim can all go on runs and can all, you know, make things happen. If they can just win one series against DK, they just now have the easiest pathway. So I'm super excited for tomorrow. I'm very excited for finals, and we're going to be covering it all here on LPL English.
Yep, quick note for y'all. for our broadcast tomorrow. It is both the Weibo Gaming versus BFX series and the Nongshim versus the winner of that prior series, but it's only 2 best of 3s tomorrow. So that means our broadcast is going to start a little bit later at 2 a.m. Pacific, 5 a.m. Eastern time. For any of y'all West Coast or East Coast viewers here in the North America, I'm not sure what that translates to for European time. Sorry, I just know that it's it's later in the day. I will not repeat what our producer said. Anyway, before we close out the broadcast, we want to remind everyone, as always, thank you very much to our elite coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, Forest Without, and owners of Asimaril. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. Now, this is officially my last day of casting on the LPL English broadcast for the 2025 season. I know that I didn't get a chance to give a formal adieu when I was able to I was given the opportunity to cover the lower finals for Split 3. That was a huge pleasure, and I just want to say, guys, casting LPL English has been such a treasure. It has really helped me individually refine my voice and honestly my passion to cast League of Legends again. I know that I had to work a lot alongside my producers, my colleagues, and be able to find my drive again. And casting LPL has been just so beneficial to, I mean, not just me, but a lot of us here on the broadcast. I think a lot of us have really leveled up over the course of the year, and just being able to get so many reps and cast some high octane gameplay and just chaos every second is just so damn good. And producer Al giving me the what is it, the Oscar treatment. Wrap it up. Just go, I want to go to bed. But I do mean it sincerely from the bottom of my heart. It's been an absolute pleasure working with the LPL English broadcast this year. And K-Man, any last words before we close it out?
It's my last as well, and I won't go on quite as big a spiel. I already did that at the end of the LPL playoffs, but I'm so fortunate to have gotten to work with so many of the best in the business right now, the best at their craft. I get to learn every single time I step into a call or a VOD review. It's insane how wonderful this entire experience has been. The chat as well, you guys are always phenomenal in terms of the hype that you bring to all of these games. This has been truly a dream come true to get to cover stuff like this.
Yep, and while we still have a couple more days of the Asia Invitational to cover here on the LPL English broadcast, once that concludes, we want to remind everyone to support the LPL teams going to Worlds. Shoutouts to BLG, Top Esports, Anyone's Legend, and hopefully IG T1 always gets the BS plot armor buff when they go to Worlds, but if IG can do the unthinkable and beat T1 before they even get to the main stage of Worlds, oh, that would be pure cinema. But here's hoping. But for now, signing off. See you all next time.